and some mini games planned as well,
Okay.
which are different modes.
What is up, everybody? And for everybody who's thinking to themselves, well, this is a really non sequitur of a song, Explode Apartment Buildings. This is a recording I did off of 20 meters, 14.313 megahertz. A little recording, and a little song, a little ditty I made. Still not done with it, though. I'm a bad music producer among everything else, because I'm not a music producer at all. I'm just a ham nerd. And how's it going, everybody? I'm Josh KI6NAZ. Thanks for following along to the After Chat. If you did follow us, our goal on this show, on the After Chat, is to help you answer your ham radio questions and get on the air. You guys have been messaging me like crazy. I just got my license. Thank you for your help. For those of you, there's lots of other ways you came to the license. But no matter how you came to the license, now that you're here, I bet you've got questions. And wouldn't it be nice if there's a way you could just talk to a bunch of fairly nice people, I think mostly nice, and get their questions answered in an inclusive environment where you won't feel put down or anything like that. That's our goal out here, is to make you feel welcome to the fraternity of amateur radio operators. And that's what we do out here on the After Chat. So I'm going to hop in the Discord. And if you didn't know what Discord is, which there's some people still that don't know what that is, it's basically a chat room like IRC back in the day, but it also allows us to do voice, so we can have a two-way conversation. And that way I'm not the only one that has to answer the questions, which I don't know all the answers. I'm like a lot of you in a lot of ways. There's a lot for me left to learn, but we can do it together, and we use Discord to do that on the After Chat. So I'm going to hop in there and say hi to the folks. We got a big group of people, so we will definitely have all the fuel to answer your questions.
Agree.
Howdy.
Hello.
Welcome in.
All right. So I'm on the Discord now. You can see above me is who's talking. So if you're curious, if you're getting an answer from somebody and you're like, hey, who's that's talking? Well, just look above my head on the video, or join the Discord, and then you can see everybody live talking. And if you do join us out here, scroll down to live stream After Chat, that section, and you want to join the hashtag live-stream, and the little speaker, you want to click on that, live-stream/After Chat. That's the voice chat. All right, everybody, how's it going on the Discord side of the house? Looks like a pretty good group we got going on here, and people will likely trickle in as we get started. Whoa, there's a name I haven't seen in a little while. One Mike, N8YO. How you doing, buddy? Are you on Mike there?
Yeah, I'm here, Josh. How you doing tonight?
Good. What have you been up to, man?
I literally just got back home 15 minutes ago after traveling to Buffalo, New York for a week for work. And, I did my first POTA in several months. Activated Niagara Falls yesterday.
Ooh, what's, is the POTA-ing location in Niagara Falls? Did you sit up somewhere pretty scenic that you could check some stuff out?
I was right off the river, maybe 200 yards north of Horseshoe Falls. That's Niagara Falls State Park on the New York side. So, yeah, I was in a pretty good spot.
That's cool.
Getting blown by mist.
Oh, well, that may not be cool. Radios make it out okay?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I activated probably in about 18 minutes, something like that. I was QRP, too.
Oh, cool.
All CW?
You know it.
Was that with the K2?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike is an continued user of the Elecraft K2, which is a really fun. I don't know what I don't want to say hipster, because that makes it sound negative, but I mean that in the best possible way, because it's like kind of cool to run one of those now, because it's definitely not too big that you can't drag it out into the field, but it's also not a small radio, right? You love it though, right?
Oh yeah, it's my go-to. Thing's been struck by lightning, and I rebuilt it. Oh, I built it from a kit back. I don't know, 15, 17 years ago, something like that.
Okay.
So I know it inside and out. That's one of the main reasons, and it was my main shack rig forever. So I'm never getting rid of it. So that's why it's my main POTA rig.
Oh, that's cool. I love it. All right. So
You want to sell it?
Yeah.
You are a the latest in a long line of people who've asked me, and the answer is always no.
Yeah, I bet. After you build something like that, you probably want to hang on to it. Like something you gift a family member or something. Hand it down. All right. Well, we'll get through some of the names of folks as we get started here. So what we'd like to do for everybody that's here for the first time, we would love it if you'd introduce yourself, say hi. To do that on Discord, you have to bind a PTT button. You can set it to like left control or something like that. So go ahead and hit PTT, give your name, and I'll kind of work it repeater style. I'll pick out the name that I kind of heard first, or I guess pile up style. And if you have a question, this is the prime opportunity. So if you're here for the first time, we'd love to answer your questions to at least get you on the road to ham radio goodness. So if there's anybody out there that would like to say hi here for their first time or ask a question, come now.
This is David. I'm currently out of Washington and had my GMRS for a while, and I'm working towards my technician and watching your videos, so just wanted to say hi.
All right, that's Bama here in the on the Discord there. So appreciate you joining us, buddy. If you end up working up a question or anything comes up, feel free to dive in there when there's a break and ask it. All right. Anybody else in there would like to say hi for the first time or ask a question? Come now.
Yeah, this is Josh here. This is my first time being on the After Chat. Been liking the content so far. Been watching you actually for a couple of shows now, so I'm really interested in what you're doing, and I thought I'd join in on the crew and be part of this. Actually making contacts right now on FT8 right now.
Excellent.
Yeah, part of QRZ staff as well. So it's been fun doing that. It's kind of an interesting thing to note there. And been part of the hobby now for 8 years. Got my general license got my extra license back in 2015. So been a ham for a while, and I love it. I actually was off the radio for 2-3 years. Got a lot of stuff going on, and then I came back to it. Now I'm really back into it. So it's great to be here and great with everybody. Great to be here with everybody.
Excellent. Well, we have actually a pretty decent amount of Joshes here now. There's Monsoon Josh on the YouTube. Now we got a WX7JM. Thanks for joining us, by the way, and then
That's
myself. Me. Yeah, no, I know. And then you and I are the Joshes on the Discord. Hey, let me ask you a question. What does it mean to be a QRZ staff member? What is it that you do over there on QRZ?
So right now I work with the team on moderation for the forums. So I just make sure that there's nothing going crazy going on in the forums pages. Also look for anything that's kind of like gets out of hand on some conversations, and also make sure that the ham radios like for sale stuff is, looking clean and looking great for everybody. So it's just a nice little thing to help out the site and give back to them after them providing a lot of opportunities for everybody who uses the site.
Yeah, I mean, no posts ever get out of control on QRZ, right?
Never.
You get to know the players, though. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah, you do. Cool. Yeah.
It's the internet's happy place.
I know amongst a lot of the YouTubers who post there, it's always the same folks that are in there just railing against us all the time. And I was just like, oh, my God. I'm so tired of trying to reply to the same folks on QRZ that I'm just like, okay, I'm going to take a break.
Yeah, it happens. It has its moments. But here's the thing, though. If you're ever looking for some good technical information, the tech forums are always very good. They have really good people there. So, don't hesitate to check it out. But other than that, though, hey, we all use it. Some people don't. Some people do. I particularly love it. It's
100%. 100% on the technical. The technical forums are fantastic. Very good stuff there. And not just like live updating stuff, but it's all like scraped by Google too. So you can actually Google QRZ, and there's posts that go back, I don't know, 10 years at this point that have extreme evergreen type information that is still just as valuable as the day it was posted. So good repository of information for ham radio. All right. Who else is in here that would like to, the first timers that would like to say hi or ask a question? Come now.
Now, Jeff, I got an answer, not a question.
Oh,
Dave, AC.
Go ahead, Dave. Well, give some context because we're live right now. So if you're answering a question, give the context to what you're answering.
you were saying something. You was looking for a picture on your show tonight, and said I piped in there and said, "Oh, when you said where the picture is," I said, "In the camera."
Oh, possibly, or on the phone. Some of those pictures are taken on the phone, but yeah, that is one of the places pictures live. All right. By the way, YouTube and Twitch, if you're watching on either one of those platforms, we do take your questions as well. Just make sure you type in question or @Ham Radio Crash Course so that I will see them. All right. So let's take another pass. Is there anybody in the chat that would like to, that's here for the first time, that would like to ask a question or say hi for the first time? Go ahead. Well, alrighty then. We'll come back around for that a little bit later. Let's say, oh, you know what? We don't have any other YouTubers in the house today. I'm the only one, it looks like. Who else do we have?
Well, I'm a new YouTuber, if that counts.
It
I have a
absolutely
channel.
does. Go for it.
I have a channel.
Well, normally I take a little pause and I'll go say hi to the YouTubers that are here, but it's likely everybody's getting ready for Hamvention or something like that. But Frank, KG6NLW, why don't you tell us what you got going on with your channel? And if you want to drop a link there in the Discord, it'll get sent around to Twitch and YouTube as well so people can check you out.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I'm up in Northern California, and I like doing a lot of Poda and Soda stuff. So for the most part, it's going to be Poda and Soda activation videos. Really exciting stuff there. I feel like between you and Adam and Jason and the other Frank the Tank, and everybody else, you guys cover the technical aspects well. So I want to cover Poda and Soda a little more. So most of my stuff will be Poda and Soda related. I might throw in a video about my radio once in a while. And yeah, I'll definitely drop a link.
That would be great. And I hear you. I like the adventure aspect of the Poda stuff. Like, who am I thinking of? Thomas Witherspoon. Fantastic channel for just going through the nuts and bolts type stuff. Whenever I do a Poda, I'm always sitting there editing it. When I'm looking down the barrel of, I recorded all 100 contacts, I'm thinking to myself, who wants to watch me run 100 contacts? I don't think most people do, so I only pull out the ones that I think are, interesting or funny or whatever. But make sure, and I apologize, I don't think I've subscribed to you yet, Frank. I'll check it out. That occasionally do talk about your kit and why you like it, right? Because I think one of the best things that I get from people like Mike, KMRD, and the other folks who are just out there poding all the time is they've learned what works best for them. And if they explain why it's what they like I like this antenna mass because I can just do this really fast and I've got my antenna up in the air and I'm on the air as quick as possible. See, I love that. I love that background work that you put in, right? So always try and include a little bit of that stuff too. People love that.
Oh, I will.
Don, were you going to say something?
Well, yeah, but let him finish. I was just going to say there's another YouTuber in here. Unfortunately, he's deafened right now.
Uh-oh. Who is it? Wait.
Randy, K7AGE.
Randy? Where? He is?
Yeah.
Oh, he is. Well, if Randy comes back, we'll make sure we...
Randy.
Did I not? Oh, I didn't scroll down far enough. Okay. Yeah, keep going, Frank. Were you going to say something? I got your channel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you, and I see that. Yeah, thank you for the advice. Right now, I'm running around with like 2 different battery boxes, a 5-gallon pail for all the different supplies, and my new-to-me FT710 that I'm absolutely loving so far. I'm using it as a base rig right now. But yeah, I will definitely... I'm the one that asked about the 6U rolling case in the live stream, because from your... Amazon list, I'm looking at getting probably the 6U with at least two 2U racks to it.
That's exactly what I have is 2U. Well, so I believe I have one 4U rack, and the 4U rack is good for like a 7300 or something heavy. and then I have a 1U rack above that the speakers and the battery lives on. 6U's a big boy, and it's a big box. Trust me. If you can make 4 work, I think you'll be happier. Randy says he can't speak on Discord. Okay, gotta help Randy out. Oh, he's undeafened himself, though, so he's perhaps hearing me. Randy, if you go to the settings, if you're on the application, it's the little gear down at the bottom that says user settings. If you go to audio and video, you have to set a PTT button, and that'll allow you to push it just like you would a repeater, just like a PTT button. Set it to the control button or something like that. And make sure you set a microphone as well.
And thank you for that, Josh, on the For You idea. I brought up there at the end, I brought up your GoBox wiring setup video, so I'm going to watch that after this,
Cool.
after the after chat, and see what I can do with that, because I want to put the FT710 in there, and that's a big boy radio, so maybe the 4U rack on the bottom, like you, would probably be good for that. Thank you.
You might be able to get away with 1U less with the 710, because I think the 710 is vertically shorter than the ICOM 7300. And if that's the case, you might be able to, progressively shrink things down and pack things in a little bit tighter. Doing the work to make the whole box smaller is going to pay you dividends, trust me.
Yeah, and I had my FTDX10 in a 4U box with a shelf on the inside of it. But I took it out because it was I can't stand the weight of all of that stuff.
They're heavy
in the box, and and it wasn't the radio or any of that equipment. It was the stupid shelf. So I don't know how you put a shelf in there that's light. Yeah.
Well,
they are.
We're borrowing 2 things when we build a Go box. A lot of the Go boxes, like I have a Gator case, and that's kind of like a roadie box for like concert roadies. So that's supposed to be more about ruggedness than lightweight. And then when you factor in server rack shelves are going to be really heavy because they got to be strong enough to hold up really heavy equipment. Those a lot of those server racks are no joke when you work on that stuff.
Yeah.
They can be real heavy.
The thing is, the ones we have at work are aluminum, and they're not that bad. And all I could find at Granger and these other places I have around near me were steel shelves. And I'm like, so I ended up with a steel shelf, and the box I have is something that Evan recommended. And so, but it's much like a Gator case. It's just, I guess, a different manufacturer.
Oh, my big thing is I need to have the wheels on it. That's one of those I need to have wheels. Yeah. And looking at it, the 4U does have a rolling one, so that's important. Thank you.
So the Gator case 6U, the one I have, has wheels and a pull handle, and the pull handle is really nice. And I think that they also offer the 4U with the wheels and the pull handle. If you can get that, that's a good option.
Yeah, for an unrelated project, was building a frame for a computer case out of MakerBeam, and I would be strongly tempted to do internal division with MakerBeam.
What is MakerBeam?
MakerBeam is one of the brand names for aluminum extrusion, but it's smaller than 2020 scale usually. I think they make like a 15 and a 20 millimeter.
Got it. I just pulled up their website right now. I see. So yeah, you could do some stuff with that. Yeah. I see what you're talking about there. Hey, we got a question over on the YouTube real fast. I'll drop this one and we'll workshop it here. William Birch says, question. First time asking a question. Well, hey, that's exactly who we're trying to help out. I've been listening with the SDR play with a discone at 60 feet. With a discone and a 60-foot end fed. Do not have a license yet. Any suggestions on what to listen to? Yeah, sure. So the cool thing about an SDR play is that it's an SDR. So if you bring up the software, you can just move around all the bands, both commercial and amateur, and kind of pull up whatever you want. And what's fun, I did a video on this, by the way, SDR listening, software-defined radio listening, shortwave listening. There's actually a number of online files you can download that has popular shortwave stations and commonly used amateur radio frequencies as well that you can load into the SDR Play software. And then once you do that, it'll load a list. On the left-hand side is where I have mine, but you can move it wherever you want. And that allows you to kind of jump through really quickly, depending on time of day and band conditions, and hear, Hungarian shortwave, that kind of stuff. So would recommend you do that. Obviously, you can listen to all the amateur bands. It's just a click away with clicking on amateur and then selecting the band of operation, and then just use that waterfall. Click wherever the activity is. You get used to it really fast. Anybody else have some thoughts?
Well, I've got one. Come listen to us on the HRCC HF net on Friday nights. We're generally on 40 meters, and if you have access to the Discord, you can look in the HF net chat and find out what frequency you're on and listen to how the net goes, because it's a lot of fun for us. And I imagine if somebody's getting into ham radio, it'd be interesting to see how things like that are run.
Heck yeah.
Right.
So if you see right there, that's actually Mike N8YO. That's his activating position. That's where he was activating from. That's the picture.
100%.
That's it right there. That's why he was all misty.
Yeah, they had to walk around the Buddy Stick Pro, and I had to hang the radio over the side of the Made of the Mist, but it worked out quite well.
That's right. Very good. Really quick, I want to.
Hi there.
Oh, we got Randy. I was just going to check in on you, Randy. How's it going, buddy?
Okay, so I guess I'm coming through. Is that correct?
You are making it, sir. You made it.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, thank you. And it's the first time I've joined your after chat here and figuring out Discord. Haven't been doing a lot with the radio, and of course, not really anything with videos, but hopefully get going again. I drove down to Grass Valley, California from Go Beach. That's about a 8-hour drive today. So I got to listen to your latest podcast as well as the Ham Radio Workbench. So that pretty much took up all the miles today.
You listen to my podcast, Randy?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. How do you like it? Because it's a bit different than I'd say other ham radio podcasts are.
Sometimes you kind of really go off into the left field, but I can push the 30-second advance thing and come back online.
I completely understand.
And I thought the letter that you received from the fellow today and the way you responded to that was very good. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Randy, I don't think you've been on Ham Nation recently, and I haven't asked. Are you going to Dayton? Are you going to Hamvention this year?
No, I'm going to pass on that. I've been doing a lot of traveling here. Probably this month I'm doing about 6,000 miles in the truck. So
wow.
So I'm going to CPAC. That's the first weekend in June up in Seaside. I'm taking a lot of stuff for the swap. I got an AL82 amplifier I'm trying to sell. So
that should go.
And then I'm going to Oshkosh again this summer. So hopefully Ray is out there with the W9W, whatever it was, the Warbird special event station. We had a lot of fun doing that last year. So yeah, I haven't had anything really to show on Ham Nation. So yeah, I got to get busy again.
You're not going to show off the Mercury?
Oh, that's pretty neat. Yeah, the Mercury, and I got their matching antenna tuner. And something else I've been playing with is adding some LED lights in the shack. I stumbled across some videos about this WLED system where you get a little ESP32 and you bring up their web page and plug it in. It downloads the software. There's really no fiddling on the ESP32, and you set up how many LEDs and stuff like that. It's really pretty neat.
Sounds like the topic for your next video, Randy.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Well, hey Randy, we appreciate you hopping in here, and if there's anything you want to add to any of the questions, it's kind of like a repeater. Just jump in there real fast, and I'll take a moment and mention it so you can give your thoughts. So right on. Cool. Well, thanks for joining us.
We'll let you continue on with your show here.
All right.
And I dropped a link to one of Randy's videos, but from there you can find his channel and subscribe if you're not, because he's got a lot of good videos on there. But I particularly like the Mercury.
Indeed. I think that's cool. All right, really fast too. I pulled up Gator. So Gator does have they call it the lightweight rack. It's a molded plastic rack, rolling rack. And so you can see 4U is literally, so 4U is usually 2 screws. If you think of a 1U is a measurement for like a server blade, if you will. So that's 4 blades up. That's the 4U aspect of it. So you can actually do a lot. So if you look at the size here, this is about the size of a 7300. And so then you'll have a top bar, and you could put like a speaker behind that top bar, something along those lines, like a small speaker. And you do have some headroom above in the plastic molding area that I've used for other things. And then you could put switches and other controls and all that. So the 4U is great if you can get everything in there. Otherwise, you probably need to go to 6, and that's when it starts getting real cumbersome. And they get ridiculously heavy, like ridiculously heavy, straight up. But all right, yeah, very good. Go ahead.
If you could drop the link to that, or is that just Gator.com? I just brought up the live stream on my TV.
Of course. So I just dropped the link. I dropped the link to the 4U, but if you go to the G Pro racks or the lightweight racks, there's a number of options. If you the lightweight racks include, they've got 2Us, 3Us, 4U audio rack, rolling, all that stuff. So yeah, there's all kinds of different options.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I have a Bioinno 30 amp hour battery, and I'm planning on getting a second one and tying them together to give me 60 amp hours, and both of those will be in this too. So between that and the FT710, it's going to be heavy as it is. Right
on. Yep. Now, and that's kind of the reality of Go boxes, is that they progressive. You actually don't think you're adding a lot of weight when you're doing it. You're like, I'll just put a power supply in there. I'll just take a 30 amp power supply. I've got a tiny little PowerWorks job. Just throw that in there. It adds up. It adds up real fast. So just keep that in mind. The lightest route is probably a Pelican build. If you go look at my Crystal Cove POTA activation, I used Jerry's Go box. And it's built into a Pelican case, and that's also a roller case. But that also requires kind of thinking outside the box, how you kind of fit everything into it.
Yeah, I did see that. Sorry, Don, I'll talk real quick, and then you can take it away. I did see that video. Very nice video, by the way. My 450 Delta is in a Pelican case, and that is heavy to just lug around. It doesn't have any wheels, so that's one reason why I'm looking at the Gator stuff that you have mentioned in the past. So thank you.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Go ahead. Somebody else is going to say something.
Oh, I was just going to say the fact that you can roll it all you want, but when you get it to the picnic table, you still got to pick it up and put it on there.
That is true.
Sometimes I wonder if it's better off just having 2 smaller ones, have your radios in one and all your power systems in another. You just leave that one on the ground.
And that is something that is starting to appeal to me more and more, because you can always scale it then. Like if you think about it, if I were to do this all over again, right, I probably would go 4U, put a 100 watt radio in there, whatever, pick your poison. And then have an Epic power gate in it. And then I would have ports on the outside of the box for a power supply, a battery, and the solar panel. And then that's all I'd have. And then you could just take the power solution that fit your day of activating in a separate box.
Yeah, the way I did mine was I had the radio in there in the shelf. And then I had a SWR watt meter in there, and the cabling and so forth. And then on the very back where the rack screw mounts were, I screwed in a rig runner. And the way I would do it is I would carry the case out there, and then I would plug the battery into the rig runner, and then all of the connections were into the rig runner.
Yeah.
And that worked out really well. And also with the rig runner, I got one of those that had the 2 USB ports on it. So not only would I have 12 volts, but I'd also have 2 USB ports that I could plug in. At that time, I had a Pi 400 and a screen that I would plug into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That works.
That makes sense. I got a hot take question when we got a moment.
Why not? Let's take it. We've got a couple of questions on the YouTube side. We'll come back to you. By the way, if you at Ham Radio Crash Course or just type question, the word question, in your comment on YouTube or Twitch, I'll see it and we'll try and help you out. Okay? Appreciate it. Go ahead.
So my question is so I'm going to be moving to an area where it's very old school hams and trying to sell up and coming radio, GMRS, trying to set up a repeater up on one of their towers. So how would be the best way to go about doing that and furthering the radio? Because, GMRS is the gateway to ham.
Yeah. I've got some thoughts. Do they have an Aries group by chance? Do you know what Aries is?
Yes, they are currently in operation with our current EOC and run Aries and Races.
So I would see if you can find out who one of the leaders are in that Aries group, and just reach out to them real casually. Just ask like, hey, do you have any interest in having interoperability, or at least the ability to communicate on one side and then relay a message on the other, or information collection? Would you guys be interested in having some kind of GMRS layer? Not saying that it has to become part of their team, but maybe have a repeater or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I'd go to those folks because they're gonna probably see the value of being able to have intercommunication with neighbors on FRS, GMRS, etc., etc. It would be my assumption. I would think so, but
that's what I was thinking. But a couple of the guys, are old school South, very hard headed.
Well, I mean, okay, but so unless you're just gonna lone wolf it and set up your own repeater and do the thing yourself, then you're gonna have to get people on board with you, and the only way to do that is start talking, right?
Do you know whose tower it is?
It would be the South Alabama Radio Club.
Okay.
Yeah, then I'm with Josh. You're gonna have to get Aries to speak at, to sort of present it on your behalf as something to provide interoperability and more, because their thing is the more people they can talk to, the better, regardless of how they come in. So
Sure.
you're gonna have to, if Aries can make that pitch, that would be better.
And I don't know about where you are in Alabama, but here in Dallas, a lot of the hams hang out on GMRS. And so if you get on GMRS and ask if there are any hams on there, because like I said, here we've got tons of them. And because it's another radio, and now that the fee dropped to $35, a bunch of them went and got their licenses, and they're just, they literally hang out on, what is it, repeater 17? Or I don't even know what it's called, but, and they're all really nice guys. So check with your GMRS deal and see if any of them are in the club with those guys.
And for Nate on the Discord, I wasn't implying interop, like connect the two services together. That's not what I meant. I said you could take Gladys called out on her FRS radio saying that her oxygen machine has no more power and she needs help. And then you take that over to the ham radio and say, hey, I've got this neighbor that needs more gasoline for their generator. That's what I meant with interoperability. Hope everybody understood that.
Yeah, you have somebody listening to multiple people listening to.
Yeah.
You can absolutely take information from one service and bring it to the second one. You can't just allow those services to interoperate with each other. You are the air gap, if you will.
Nothing wrong with CB in that case too.
Yeah, and so let me just say first and foremost, Ham Radio Crash Course and all of our friends here on the Discord, we are we believe in the power of all the radio things. So this is not a anti-GMRS, FRS, CB, or anything like that. We just Appreciate everybody being into radio. We happen to like ham radio a little bit more. That's why we're here. But yeah, we'll try and help you out regardless.
And CB and GMRS and FRS, all of them are gateways into ham radio. So we appreciate them all.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Well, and a lot of the repeater owners, at least here in Eastern Tennessee, run GMRS repeaters too. So
K7AGE, tin cans too. That's right. We
what about smoke signals?
we're big advocates of tin can and string. That's right, buddy.
Players.
I prefer Elecraft string though, personally.
Elecraft string. They make the best string. That's true.
I like Motorola string. It's
Yeah.
top quality.
Also top price.
I got me some Davis RF string today.
How about Harris?
Oh, now we're really talking. Shane's now talking my language.
Oh, Shane. XG75 PE. That's Harris top line.
God bless.
Question:
Question? Yes, please. Let's take some questions. Go ahead.
Do you have on the tin can stuff? Do you have to use a matching transformer or anything like that?
You cut out slightly in the beginning. I heard matching transformer, and do we need to use it? I'm assuming you're talking about an antenna. What antenna are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about the tin cans.
Oh,
Do we have to have it?
Okay. Well, it depends. So, if you happen, standard Campbell's tomato soup can is the standard that we use. But if you're using like a what do they call those? The big ones? Oh gosh. See, I wasn't ready for this.
Cafeteria cans?
If we got a cafeteria can, then you need a step down transformer to get you to the proper impedance to go from small diameter can to large diameter can. That's right.
I think you use a hairpin match too on that string.
You could use a hairpin match. Oh, I like to use a gamma match personally on my cans. 10-pound can. That's it. 10-pound can.
Oh my God.
You know what? Honestly though, this is a joke, but that might actually be a fantastic way to explain to people impedance mismatches, like on a long wire, and why we need a 49-to-1 transformer. Because if you think about it, that's kind of what you're doing. I know I'm using diameter of a can to imply a large impedance and a standard Campbell can to imply low impedance, but you input a transformer in that to step down that diameter. That's kind of a funny way. That's kind of a fun analogy.
Can we please put the Campbell's cans on an M-pad?
So
Not a bad idea.
he's not here, but K6ARK did the brewmander. He literally soldered / welded beer cans together and made a vertical antenna, and it worked. It worked pretty well, actually.
Can't you actually take those and have people to use those for microwave, like making waveguides or stuff like that?
Pringles, Pringles cans is a popular one.
Yeah, we used to do that for Wi-Fi.
Yeah, 2.4 gig.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. People taking the old Quaker Oats
For war driving. Yeah, we used the war drive with a Pringles can.
Heck
MIT has a design for an antenna for radar that's called the Cantenna that uses 2 coffee cans as your transmit and receive antennas.
Yep. Indeed. All right. Let's go ahead and throw this out there again. Anybody here for the first time that'd like to say hi or ask a question before we just open it up to everybody for free form discussion? Come now. All right, that means we can start letting the wheels fly off of this thing a little bit. Anybody have any question? Oh yeah, please go ahead.
Just to say that we ridiculously got out all the tin soldiers today and made a new king. So there are some special event stations to be worked. GB2 Charlie, DB23 Charlie is the most
Nice.
current one. So I thought I better, while there's still a few radio hams in the room, point that out.
I appreciate that, and somebody already dropped a meme for you there. I don't know if you see that.
Are they going all weekend? Are they going tomorrow too?
Oh, they're on for the next month.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
I mean, I've got an amendment to my license that I'm now GR0RFD.
God save the king.
Is
Indeed.
that all voice, or are they? What modes of operation are they using?
All.
Oh, okay.
All of them.
They're actually set up out not far from the old Naval College by the Catty Sark in London, and they're running full legal limit UK. So
Ooh.
they're a hell of a bloody signal at that up to the Midlands.
Do they do a QSL card?
Apparently so.
Oh, see, I would like to actually have one of those.
If you type in your Google search GB23C, they do have a web page as well.
Hey, is Don here?
Say that again. GB20 what?
GB23C for Charlie.
Got it. Yeah, look, they're on QRZ. Here we go.
I don't know, man. Until the Sex Pistols rewrite the song, it's always going to be God Save the Queen to me.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Shut up, bloody colonials.
Oi, bugger off. Can we be a republic already?
Hey, we're just a continent in the middle of your beef right now. We got Aussies fighting with our United Kingdom.
Don't make me come over there, Steve. Step outside, start without me.
Bunch of prisoners.
I thought we were an anarcho-syndicalist commune.
Oh,
from the south, God save the Queen.
All right. Okay, so we got let's see, we got a couple of questions.
I assume, by the way, that would be Golf 23 Charles, right?
All right, let's have some
well,
radio.
There
discipline.
are other ones, but that's the one that's the most. So that's the one that I've heard the most from at the moment.
Okay, very good. We did get a question. It's kind of from a ham radio point of view. Jets115 asks, "Do you think FMCB will ever be a thing in the U.S.?" We got approved for it, and we now have radios that operate on it. I think I have 2 or 3 of them. Mm-hmm. So I think yes, it will be a thing. I don't have a reason not to believe it won't. We likely need somebody to get down on this question that isn't here right now, I think.
I can give you some input to that.
Yeah, Mike, do you guys use proper 11 meters, or are you all?
We just moved it up the band a bit. We had our own. I used to be a naughty man, and I used AM, and it was great. AM was all good, but it used to interfere with things and create havoc with next door's television and the church's audio, and apparently other such big devices.
Right.
But like switching to FM on VHF, you get a sort of longer bit before it tails off. So it makes local comms easier on FM.
Sure.
But it doesn't really do it. It's not really any better. But of course, it doesn't interfere with erroneous devices like audio amps and old-fashioned TVs. That was the real reason they went FM. Not that it was any better, just that it had less chance of interference.
I can see that, and I would add that you're generally still consuming the same amount of power most of the time. Although FM actually might be more efficient. I can't remember.
Yeah,
exactly.
it sort of would go like 9/10 as well as AM, but it would do it more clearly. But then it would drop off like a brick.
Right.
Is that perhaps because the deviation is generally limited? If they're using narrowband, they're going to be limited to 2.5 kilohertz deviation or whatnot.
Yeah, because you got to bear in mind you're still in 10 kc steps, so you can't really deviate over 1.5 kilohertz anyway. Because otherwise you're going to bleed over to the next channel. Oh no, that's where the echo mic comes in. If you sort of add the large amount of echo behind your voice, you suddenly go from deviating to what your radio is set to nearly double that just by adding the bit of echo.
Well, don't forget about the Roger beep at the end.
Oh, I like K-bleeps. They were good enough for NASA.
That's true.
There's actually a couple of repeaters where they've turned that on here.
The eagle has landed.
Curious Mark's YouTube channel just had a good thing on quad tones, the NASA beep. So
hey,
that's why you get the digital modes on GMRS.
I would like to point out that 20 meters is pretty poppin' right now for those of you. Jeff, did you say something?
Yeah, I was going to ask. Have you touched on the 60 meter thing yet?
I haven't. To be honest, I am not a 60 meter user. Rhea made a video about it, which I thought was pretty good. And honestly, I need somebody to kind of paraphrase the whole thing because I didn't spend a whole deep dive on it. But we're already a secondary user on that. So is this restricting the frequency space, or is this losing power?
The FCC is, yes, that's kind of all of the above. They're seeking input from amateurs and regarding whether we would, because they're talking about creating a band, and by creating that band, we would lose if we switched over to that continuous band, we might lose what, 2 frequencies? Possibly.
There's a possibility that they would take away the channelized bands that we have today and the 100 watts and give us instead that band that you're talking about within 60 meters in a slightly different place, limited to 15 watts, no more than 15 watts. But there's also a possibility where they won't take away the channelized stuff and we'd still have the channels and the band. So there's several things, but the big part of this whole thing is it's the NTIA that is asking them to do that, which is another government agency that does frequency allocation for the government that even can trump the FCC in frequency allocations.
Yeah.
So they're the ones requesting it. And so there's a possibility, or at least this is what Rhea was hinting at, that there's a possibility that the FCC won't make any or won't care what we say at all, and will just simply yield to the NTIA.
Yeah, but they there was actually, I think, several different possibles.
Right.
One was keeping the channelized and allowing us to run 100 watts on those channels, but being limited to 15 watts on the band. The problem is that there is some overlap with that band and some of the channels we have currently.
Well,
so there's 2 of them. I think the 2 at the end would be the ones that would be lost.
Yeah, the thing is though too, the 15 watt would
be very hard to enforce for that matter, because everybody's got a rig with 60 meters.
I know what I was going to say.
100 watt rig.
Yeah, that band, we would still be secondary users on that 15 watt band too. So it's not like we're getting an exclusive band. We're simply getting another secondary use band.
Yeah, we get more of 60. But the big thing is I would be willing to give up those 2 channelized frequencies if they keep 100 watts and do the band. But that band is also ITU allocated. So
yeah, it is. But
there's
they've
like
ignored
28
that.
other countries that
they've ignored that for years already. So
well, let's take a moment to come up for air and just remind people. So 60 meters is a band that we get access to with HF privileges, right? Generals, extras get it, and it's channelized there, and there are specific rules which I've now overlaid via my camera here. This would predicate lowering power. Go ahead, Don.
And it is the only nighttime band that contesters cannot use.
Oh, good. Okay.
And no, to me, that's a big point, and everybody ignores it. We don't have a nighttime band that contesters cannot use, except 60. And 60 is not a work band, but it was at least one that we could count on. And I play around in contests, sure, but I really don't do the whole 24/7 thing.
Right.
And we need something nighttime.
We technically 30 years nighttime, but that's all digital.
Right.
No, I don't want digital. I want voice.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like,
and that by the way is an example of a something easily if one's inclined to comment with the FCC and you use 60 meters, that's a great point to bring up in a comment and just make, rather than oh hey you're beating us over the head because of the FCC and government over blah blah blah. You don't do that.
No.
You just write something well reasoned and lucid and a comment like that, and that's a great point. That's a great point to bring up and just make sure somebody sees that at least. So.
Well, like I said, keeping it at 100 watts would be fine. I think that's reasonable. The one worst case scenario that I believe she touched on would be the NTIA had suggested that we just use it for emergency communications only.
Yeah.
And that of course takes out the whole ability to practice and the ability to, improve the radio art and all the stuff that we exist for. If we could only use it in an emergency, who's going to be using it? Who's going to have the gear to? Why would I buy a 60-meter antenna if I can only use this set of frequencies during an emergency?
The thing that I don't like about them changing it too is the fact that we currently have radios that are already limited in that band space. Some of them don't even work well in that band space. And then now they're going to change it so that all of the radios we currently have that are working are now not working. And short of if you can do it, a firmware update, we're screwed.
All right.
Unless we buy new radios.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay, hold on. So let's step back on this one a little bit because now we're getting deeply into the weeds. All of your points are interesting. Rhea made a video, Rhea's Ham Shack, for everybody on YouTube. Go check that out. I would like to remind people that when the FCC comes out and says seeking input, that's kind of like your opportunity to speak your mind or you're not going to have a vote kind of thing. Now, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of one government agency versus the other having a power play. I've got no comment on that. I don't know any of the realities behind that, but it is interesting. So let's move off of that for a little bit. We can probably come back to it later if you guys want to talk about it.
A quick comment, Josh, on it from a European perspective.
This is a hot topic for everybody. Okay, Mike, go ahead.
Well, see, over here, we got ours not by asking your equivalent, the FCC.
Right.
We actually ended up going to the military who actually own those allocations and asked for it. And they went, yeah, sure. And gave us we do a very similar thing to you, 100 watts and dipoles only.
Right.
And I think the ITU involvement is that they want to bring us in line with you, or rather you with us.
Mm-hmm.
Because those new frequencies actually line up with some of ours. The thing we found here is that the only thing that we actually, it's a great band and it should be made into a full amateur band. It won't ever be, but it should. It would be an excellent band. Because like everybody said, it's the one daylight, it's the one sort of nighttime band that works in the day as well. And it's a pretty good short range band if you just need to work that 100-mile short hops.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing they found is they use it for training because they got over here some of the cadet forces, which are like sort of militarized scouts, for want of a better way of putting it, have got allocations in there, and they quite like working us radio hams because we use very similar voice procedures to them. They've also said if we hear a military unit, we can actually say hello to them, but if they ask us to shut up and go away, you're to shut up and go away, which is a very interesting development.
That's fair. That's a fair thing.
So, as I say, change might be a bit different, but if it brings, I would, like you've said, 100 watts is going to be the thing. You don't want to do any less than that. But it is a very interesting band and a subject to as many of you people should make comment to the FCC to make sure you don't lose it.
Well,
there's true interoperability, by the way, in that.
Well, okay, so let Josh go. He had a point, and then I kind of want to move on. Not that it's not interesting. It's just we've got more questions I want to hit. So, Josh, go ahead. You had something you were going to say.
Me?
Yeah, weren't you going to say something?
Yeah, but I'm waiting for it to end.
Oh.
I'll let it Sorry.
To get off of the 60 meter. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I had a combo that we were talking before you came in that I would think would be kind of cool, but we'll keep the conversation going, and I'll let it back to you. Go.
Yeah, so let's take this one from Todd Riddle over on the YouTube side. They asked, what does everybody on 6 meters use for a base antenna? So I'll just say I have a 3-element beam on 6 meters, and part of the reason for that is because 6 meters, when it's open, it's not open everywhere. It's kind of like open in a specific direction. So I like to point my power towards that direction to see if I can make contacts with people. Although I'm not often on 6 meters, I try to hit it in, spring and autumn time frame. That's what I use. Does anybody else have a dedicated 6 meter antenna?
6 meter Moxon.
I do.
6 meter Moxon. Okay. Is Is it stacked elements, or is it just?
It's literally a 6 meter Moxon, which MFJ sells like 3 Moxons, and that's one of them. And the one thing I like about that Moxon, because it's made with, or it's tubes, aluminum tubing, it covers from 50 to 54 megahertz at like under like 1.6 or 1.7 to 1. So it's got the whole thing. But it does give me the directionality, slight directionality, because the Moxon's just like any basically 2 element beam, in that it's really, really wide. And so you can hear quite a wide swath.
Does it have to be dedicated for 6 meters?
What, a Moxon? A Moxon's
No.
not gonna be-
I know a Moxon does. I'm talking about. Josh was asking about what people use for 6 meters.
No, any antenna.
Yeah, I use a 40 meter off center fed antenna that works just fine on 6 meters. So that it works. As Josh said, it's not directional, but it works.
Yeah, I have a Comet GP15, and that does 2 70 sems and 6 meters, and then I've also got the Butternut with the 6 meter kit. So I've got 2 different verticals. I don't have anything horizontal that'll do 6. My end fed won't go down there.
And I actually think I've got a Discone that will go down to 6 too.
My house is 6
And
meters.
I have
6 meters, but I don't really hear anybody.
And I have a vertical about 20 feet off the ground for 6 meters. But I also cheat like Josh. I'm in California, and I use it. It was a retired CHP omnidirectional vertical they took off a tower.
Oh, cool.
And I just brought it. I brought it up to 6 meters because, for those that don't know, our highway patrol is 38 to 44 megahertz, so it's right there, right below the 6 meter band for us. So I just brought it up in tuning, and I use that on 6, and it works well.
And Mr. N8YO 6 meter grid chaser, what are you using?
I've got a 3-element Cushcraft at about 35 feet.
3-element.
With a TV rotor.
You doing
that RCA job? That's right.
Heck yeah.
Okay, I figured just making sure you're staying true, man.
I never had a 6 meter contact until what was it? It was 2020, 3 years ago, and I'm up there around 330, 340 grids confirmed in the U.S. so far.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Now we have a question about that RCA rotator. I was reading comments on it that it will sometimes rotate itself if you transmit on certain frequencies, like it's sensitive. Does that happen with yours?
That's only when the engine dies, and then it auto rotates to get to the ground.
Oh.
Comet.
Cool.
No, I've never had that problem on any band whatsoever, and I've definitely had to deal with RFI issues. But nope, it's a solid rotor, man. And I've loaded the heck out of it because not only do I have that on it, I have a 13-element 2 meter Yagi right above it, and then X500 right above that at the top of the mast.
Hey Josh, is he using tomato cans to load it down?
Maybe. I don't know. He's right here. You can ask him. Really quick, I'm going to run to the restroom. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. Sorry about that. I guess that Founders All Day IPA is going through me pretty quick. I'll be right back. Play a song for you. I'll be right back.
Glad you're drinking a Michigan beer, Josh.
There you go.
There's a
I'm back.
In your shack, calibrated. That's it. Sorry, Stephen, I couldn't think of the word, but you have to calibrate them first and make sure that they hit the marks that they're supposed to hit and don't overshoot or undershoot, or the dial that you get with in the controller actually shows you really what the rotator's doing. And I did all that today, but I'll have to go and get that and get it up on the mast, and there's like a whole bunch of other things I need to do to get that hex beam up high. So right now I've got it on a speaker stand about 8 foot up, and which would work on 6, but it's not that great on 20 for sure.
I have my receiving loop on that on an RCA tuner rotor. I really like it. I don't know what's the wind load on that thing. Does anybody know off the top of their head?
No.
It's on the RCA rotor?
Yeah.
Give me a minute.
Fart in the wind?
It's whatever Mike has on it.
It's definitely under what I have on it. But it's made it through 3 Michigan winters, no problem.
It's not a heavy. So everybody frantically looking this up. It's designed for a television antenna. So if you go much bigger than a television antenna, particularly something like a Yagi that has a boom and elements coming off of it, what that will do is in certain conditions, it's going to apply a shear load because of the alignment of the boom, however direction the wind's coming. That could cause it to fail. And generally rotors, particularly when they're under load like that and you're trying to rotor them around, twist them around, that's when they could lead to failure. So just keep that in mind. They're available on Amazon. They're like $100. They're not that bad, and they're not super fine with their accuracy, but you can program a lot of different. You know what? I'll put it on the overhead. You can program a lot of different degrees onto it, and then you just click the button and it jumps around. It works great for my loop. I just have ABC set, and I have like a 90, a 75, and a 50, and the loops are, they're bi-directional. So like between all those, I kind of hit everything. Works pretty good for me. So I guess I need a 25.
I do it the old school way. Like, yeah, it's a cheap solution to, obviously I'd love to upgrade it, and I will be probably upgrading to a tower and a bigger rotor down the road here.
Sure.
But I mean, just, quick and dirty, get it done. Like, I put that thing up there thinking it was going to fail after 2 seasons, and it's still going strong. I put it up there expecting it to fail while in operation. So I was just, it's been a champ. It is definitely sloppy. It is not accurate. But it takes nothing for me to just like poke my head out the side door of my house. It's like, yeah, okay, 15 degrees to the north, good to go.
It's close enough.
I mean, if I were really nerdy, I'd just put a webcam on it, and I'd definitely dial it in without even having to get up.
Josh, how do you like your what rotator do you have on your step IR?
Is it that Yaesu 450?
So you're still running the 450?
Yeah, it hasn't failed yet. I'm technically very much at the limit of that life, at the weight on that one. It ran my hex beam without any issue, but stepping up to the step IR added more weight, but I've had no problems.
Okay. Yeah, I just, by the way, I used your video today to calibrate my 800. I got an 800 DXA.
Oh, that's a beefy boy. Yeah.
It's only a medium duty, and I was
bigger
torn
than what
between.
I
I was torn between the 450 and the 800, and I just said, I'm gonna play it safe. So, but I used your video and went through and calibrated. Although this one calibrates differently, so you don't set it to 0, you set it to 180, which was just like, really. But I followed. I went through and followed the instructions in the manual. But it's very similar to what you did on yours. It's just like different numbers. And then I don't know on yours, but like you get this, like instead of using those up and down things, you have these presets, and you can just turn it to 270 and hit a button, and turn the thing to 270 or
I
something
would
like
I
that.
would prefer that if I could get that. That would be a nice thing to do. I would.
Yeah.
I would like that
Well,
more.
this one has that, and I didn't even realize that that was a thing until they were saying, "Well, you need to test this too."
Mhm.
And so, but it works. It turns. I just don't have. I've got more to do to get the hex beam on it. But I finally realized, because one of the issues I was having was, how do I get from the hex beam at a 1-inch inner diameter hub
Yeah.
to the size, or to the 1 1/4 inch inner diameter or outer diameter of the Roan H30, and this rotator is going to do that.
Oh, right, because you're bolting that on the side of the Roan, and then you offset a tad, and then that's when the antenna mass
No, I'll
part is.
put it right on the top of the Roan.
Does it mount that way? It mounts right up the.
Yeah.
This is with the mass bracket on the bottom.
Yeah,
of
the
rotor?
mass bracket.
Oh, gotcha.
There's a bracket on that goes on the bottom. It's a separate part.
Gotcha.
That looks exactly like the bracket that you get with the rotator for the top.
Mhm.
And so yeah, you put the one down and the one up, and you got it.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. All right, very good.
Yeah, because I wouldn't like what you're proposing of like putting something out alongside the Roan. I wasn't sure that top section would really hold that up, or I was concerned about it.
It might not. You're probably right. So okay, very good.
So,
all right. Let's see. Any questions in? Oh, hey, thank you for cool stuff. Says have a $5 super chat with a bird. Thank you for the mic drop bird. Appreciate it. Thanks for the super chat, guys. I appreciate
Maybe not watching.
all right. Let's go back to Discord, and then we got another YouTube question. Anybody have a Discord question? Newcomers, anyone? Welcome.
Actually, I have a bit of a long shot, but would anyone happen to have any old Belcom service manuals around? I haven't been able to find one. I've got a Liner 430, and I was wondering if anyone would have the service manual for it.
I don't. That's.
mm-mm. But I swear I've seen stuff like that online. I just, it's not all radios are like that.
I've been looking online, but I can't find anything.
Well, I'm sorry. We don't have the info for you on that one.
And
no worries, worth a shot.
Thank you.
And I do have another question on the rotator, Josh.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So, what do you do for RFI coming down the rotator cable? Did you put?
I haven't
beads
had
or...
any.
Really? Okay.
I've had no.
I've had none.
I've had none. It's very low voltage. It's
well,
a low,
yeah, but I mean, you're right under your antenna.
I know. Yeah.
And
yeah.
You'd think, or at least I'm thinking, it'll pick something up.
So, okay. So this is just me. Total speculation. Most of the rotor controllers connect to your home's AC. So I'm assuming that if there's anything on there, it's just getting. It's got ground access. It's fine. I don't think it's. I've not had a problem with it. I've isolated that too.
All right.
I've tested that. And I haven't had any problems.
Okay, I just, length of cable and all this. Like my sister has a 40 or a very, very long, it was me that put it in there, but a very, very long Ethernet. And that does pick up RF and throws it into her TV. But throwing it into the rotator controller may not be a big deal.
Network gear is always more noisier from my experience, particularly if you plug that into like a really noisy television. Oh Lord, that is if you took a noisy television, you're like, what if I gave it an antenna, guys? And you plug a LAN cable into it. Oh my God, it's the worst.
Oh, yeah.
It's the worst. Oh. James KI5OEB asks, has anyone had a problem with the DX Commander Classic feed point? I was attempting the POTA the other day, and at 100 watts, I would transmit, and the SWR, and I believe he had a longer comment that came from Discord, so I've got to find it now. Or if James, if you're on voice, you want to just tell us what it was?
And
is he in the chat, James?
My answer to that would be, after owning it for 4 years, no, I've never had an issue.
James,
but I do choke the crap out of it. I do.
James, you're in the after chat. Can you speak to your problem? I know you texted it, but I'm looking for your comment again.
His comment was at
Got it.
7:16.
And I would SWR would start good. Then right after I get my call sign out, the SWR on the radio would go to infinity. Cranked it down to 20%, and it stays stable on SWR meter. Any ideas? Yes, plenty
Coax.
of ideas. Plenty.
Yes.
One. Make sure the tuner, the automatic tuner, is off on your radio. I don't know why that just jumps out to me, but I've seen people do that. Turn that off. Second thing. Go check all your connections, all of them. The coax coming into the house, the coax at the feed point, and then all of the wires. Go check them. There could be a problem there. Also, have you weatherproofed your coax that goes to the DX commander, at least the connector end? It definitely needs to be weatherproofed, and it isn't. That could be problematic as well.
This is at a POTA.
Oh, it's at a POTA.
Yeah, it still wouldn't matter, would it?
It would matter if you have bad coax.
Oh,
I would lean towards the ATU because I have an amp right now that needs to be sent in because the relays switching in the ATU and back out will cause that high SWR from time to time.
Rest of the story. I have a 706 Mark II-G that works fine, usually. And then I've got two different coaxes I used. Both of them did it. So I isolated what I think is just the feed point. I haven't had this kind of problem, and I'm just going to assume that it's got to be the feed point. So I'm going to put a BNC on there just for giggles, because I have one, basically. And then I'm going to desolder the one that came with it, and I'll let you know, I guess.
desolder the one from the DX commander?
Yep.
Because mine is completely sealed inside that stuff that Callum puts on it.
Yeah.
So you're gonna cut that off?
Yeah, I'll take that solder, and I had to put the end on mine when I got it. It came with the piece, and it came with the wire sticking out of it. So I don't know. I might have had a bad crimp job, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, well, if you watch his videos, he's crimps and solders. So that, not that doesn't mean that you didn't get one that was bad, but it's like.
So go check all the connections, and if you want to drop some solder on it, even on that connector, that'd be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of destroying the feed point that you have, because you haven't, it is likely true that could be the location that you've narrowed it all down to. But that's such an easy piece to replicate. Could you just make something that would do the same function and test that unit and see if you get the same result? And if you do, then okay, yeah, you can say it is that feed point thing. Let's take it apart and do that whole thing. But until you've ruled that out, you might want to keep it intact, because I have the same feed point from Callum, and it's pretty nice. I wouldn't want to have to go cut that all up and then have to redo it.
Well, again, mine's been out there for 4 years, and I'm thinking I'm going to need to replace mine.
Maybe,
because I can tell where it goes into that rubber stuff that he's got around it. It's starting to fray, and the insulation along that little short piece of wire is starting to dry out and crack. And so I'm thinking about redoing mine or basically building a new one.
Yeah.
But I have not seen any SWR issues with that. I have seen SWR issues when I did not choke the feed point. In other words, right where it comes out, or right where at that end, I put a choke on there. And then it comes back into the up to where I feed it into the shack, and I have another choke there. And without that, I was getting really bad RFI, and the RFI was causing it to, on 40 meters, it would just blow everything out, and SWR and everything else would go crazy. And Scott had the same, ham radio for non-techies, had the same problem one time when we were over with Mike and a bunch of people for the Support Your Park weekend. He was tuning one and saw SWR issues just with the SWR meter. And again, we added a choke and corrected it. So I'd add a choke too.
There you go. I mean, you could try adding a choke, but yeah, possibly. But would that cause the SWR to go up? Would that cause the impedance mismatch?
It did for me, and it did for Scott. I mean, we were out there with Scott for like an hour trying to figure out why the hell the SWR. We kept trying shortening wires and doing all this, and it just would not tune. And he finally put in a choke, and everything went away. It was fine after that.
Where'd you put the choke? Right at the feed point of the antenna?
That's what I do, but no, in his case, we put it right between the antenna and the, the SWR meter and the feed point or the end of the coax.
Oh, into the radio or closer to the radio side.
Yeah, close to the
Maybe try it. Maybe your coax is getting lumped in as a radial or something along those lines as part of the antenna.
Yeah.
Have you tried another run of coax?
I think he said he has 2 runs, though. You started with 2 runs of coax.
I had RG8, regular RG8, and a thing of 58 that I made myself, and I know they work.
Okay. I missed that part. Thank you.
Yeah, and by the way, James, when you said you were going to make a BNC type connector at the feed point, go ahead and try that.
Let everybody know too.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make that tonight and put it on there, make another hole, and just add it to it. And I removed the other piece, and I won't destroy it because it might work. It might not work with the BNC, so I'll try it.
Right. Oddly enough, the comment from Nate is not a bad one. He's saying run a 1-to-1 choke on the vertical feed point to avoid RF issues. For a permanent installation, DX Engineering recommends buying the coax below radials for that reason. That's not a bad idea either, a 1-to-1, because if you think about it, that's exactly what a DX commander is. It's a vertical fan dipole, technically.
Yeah. And yes, that's what I meant. I choked mine right as it comes out of the DX commander.
Yeah, that's smart. That might work. It's something to try.
You could choke both ends too, right?
Choke them all.
Yeah,
I have a vision of Don doing Homer Simpson on Bart.
You should. Do you guys know who W6NBC is?
I think so, but
John Portune or something like that.
He's the one with all the slot antennas.
Yeah. But he came to our club. He's been twice. Once on the slot antennas, and then the second one he was just out talking about chokes, and his point was you should choke everywhere you connect a coax.
I agree. Yeah,
and because he says that like when it comes down the coax, right, the braid, it's going on both the inside and the outside. And so when you reach the end of the coax, it's going to short over where you've got that braid cut because that'll flow along the outside and then back down the other direction. So you're literally shorting it. So you add a choke at both ends or everywhere you've screwed in a piece of coax to prevent RFI.
I have a lot more choking to do then.
When in doubt, choke it out. That's our motto here on the Ham Radio Crash Course. When in doubt, choke it out. It's seriously I don't want people to think it's like a cheater move because it's not. You can pick up common mode currents from all over the place. And for those of you that are digital mode enthusiasts or you want to be digital mode users, you should definitely add ferrites to your repertoire of things. And might I encourage checking out Palomar Engineers. I'm not affiliated with them. They have some of the best ferrites. I buy pretty much only from them after buying too many Amazon ferrites and realizing this is garbage. They have a coupon code. If you use HRCC, all capital letters, 73, I believe you get 5 to 10% off of the order. And again, not an affiliate deal. It's just a coupon that we have open for them. We've had it open for like 3 or 4 years now at this point. Trust me, go buy a kit for your radios and come back to me and let me know how they do for you because they've always been good.
I gotta take go ahead.
I just have to I just thought of something that had changed in my POTA setup.
Uh-oh. What is it?
This This is the first time I have used the radio from inside the truck. Would that make a difference?
Will you just run the coax through the window or in the door?
Yeah, correct. Right out the door and 25 foot over to the antenna.
Unless
Would that make a difference?
Where are you getting power from?
Same batteries I've always used.
Probably not.
No, probably not. Unless you've damaged the coax.
No, I didn't shut the door. I just ran it through the door.
Then yeah, no, you're not going to have a problem with that.
Yeah, see, I had a situation where I had some common mode, and it was making my SWR meter on my radio not read correctly. It was on a 718. After I choked it, it was reading again correctly. I didn't actually have a high SWR. It was just the common mode was whacking out the SWR meter, and it was just reading it wrong. But because the radio used that to decide whether it was going to drop the power back, it was dropping the power back. So whenever I'd try to key up on FT8, it would dial the power back, and common mode was messing.
It does bring up one other. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, Austin, I had almost a double take. I scrolled up and down the room. I'm like, did Joe Brett join us? And I didn't notice. You have a very similar voice to Joe Brett.
Oh, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, yeah, that's good. Ham Radio Clubhouse. Yeah, absolutely. Those guys are awesome.
Okay. I'm like a big hick on a... so I
No, man, we think he's got a silky smooth voice for radio. Absolutely,
that's
man.
Nice. That's the first time I've ever heard that. Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of sound maybe a little younger, but
you sound like a younger Joe Brett on the radio here.
Well, I've been using Flonase lately, so that might be part of it.
That's a DJ for sure.
That's a proper 80 meter comment right there. We're working 80 meters.
Definitely got a hot take for sure. We just fox hunt on an erroneous signal and got a signal down to a Wi-Fi repeater inside of an RV, disrupting with GMRS signals.
It's
so
it happens.
So the guy's willing to work out with the RV repair and get it fixed.
Right on. Okay. That's the thing. That happens. I literally know a guy who, not a radio operator of any kind, had the FCC knock on his door and said, did you know that something inside your house is putting out spurious emissions and it's affecting other services on the FCC? And he's like, what you talking about? Turned out it was his cable provider. So the coax, right, the feed line coming down off up the coax, they have vertical lines that they run the coax or cable on, the lower lines. They added a preamp right before it dropped from his house into his house, into the cable box. And they traced it back to, the signal was coming from inside his home, but the source was that preamp on the pole. And so they ended up having the cable company come out and do all that stuff. And guess what, guys? He's not radio licensed. He's not GMRS. He's not ham radio, not CB, not anything. And the FCC knocked his door and said, hey, we want to investigate this spurious noise generator. And they can do that. They can ask you that just merely because you have a wireless device in your home. So everybody keep in mind, it's not because he signed up to get his name in a database or anything like that. That happens. That's real.
I had something like that happen about 20 years ago where it was intermittent, would come on like 4 in the afternoon, and it turned out to be they had to send out like their level 3 technicians or engineers out to go look at it, but it wound up being a preamp that they Spectrum had put in,
Yep.
Hey, one last question on the 706. I'm sorry.
Oh no! So go one last comment. Go ahead, one last comment, and then
one last comment on the 706 and the SWR is: Are you, when you see your SWR go up, is that with the SWR meter in the radio?
Yes, it is.
Or so SWR in the radio. So I sometimes is very distrustful of the SWR in the radio. That's why I like to have an external SWR meter wherever
that's where
possible.
I was going. Yeah,
and that tells no lies, right? Because the radio can be upsetty about something and then start throwing you high SWR. It's happened. It's happened to me, and it's always good to have like a second opinion. And a physical meter that works is always a good second opinion often.
Yeah, so just curious if you tested it on an external SWR meter.
Negative.
An
Okay.
analyzer
it might not be a bad thing. It might not be a bad thing to do either.
An
Any
analyzer,
recommendation on those?
yeah,
So I
nano
yeah,
VNA.
find one a friend has.
No, I would go a step further and just throw an analyzer on it, because the analyzer's not so. Unless you have a mechanical failure of some type, the analyzer is not going to say, like, it's going to show you what it is, right? So you might want to try that, like even a nano VNA, right? Pull it up on there and see what it gives you.
I think the only difference is, though, he described that when he first transmitted, it would change after a little while. So I don't think the nano VNA, an analyzer would necessarily see that versus, he might want to see it online as he's transmitting. That was my only thought there.
It's kind of like a mechanical failure in a vehicle. If the part has failed, it's failed. That's kind of how antennas are. Unless it's something where there's like a frayed bit and you've got arcing or something like that, sure, that can happen. Most of the time, they're either like good or they're not good, right? Unless it's like a transformer that you're saturating with power or whatnot. Boy, there's lots of options for you to go potentially look into and figure out this this part. I hope you come back.
I will
next
let
week
you
and tell
know.
us. Yeah, come back next week and let us know.
Do you have a dummy load that you could put on the end of the coax out there and just
That's
check
another
it?
good idea.
No, I do not.
He's talking POTA often. Hey, you know what, guys? For everybody that's car portable, a dummy load's actually also a really cool thing to keep with you. That's actually, that's also a good thing.
Good old paint can.
Good old paint can full of oil.
You can buy those little 30-watt ones that are just good enough to check what you need in the field and they're only about 1.5 inches tall.
Yep.
Okay, I've got something from QRP Labs that's like it's a tiny one for my QDX. Would that work?
Not
Yeah,
for
as long as you
100
don't
watts if
put
you don't
too
blow
much
it up.
power into it.
Much power.
So I think it's rated for 10 or 20.
And you want to be on the QRP side of that, right? QRP Labs is for QRP radios. So if you hit that with a lot of power, even like Shegu G90 levels of power, you'll probably hurt that thing.
Cool. Okay, I will keep it low then.
All
Hey,
right.
Josh, question if
Yeah,
you got
Josh,
one.
go ahead, take your question. Then we got some more on YouTube. Everybody who sent your questions on YouTube and wherever, we're still going to get to them. Just hang tight if you're still there. But yeah, Josh, go for it, man.
Yeah, I'd also like to say thanks.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry, I thought I stepped on somebody. My question is that I've noticed lately that when I operate FT8, I noticed that my power starts to slowly go down. And also my ALC also starts to dip down too. So I could be like running 100 watts, but as the transmission's going on, the power starts to go slowly down, as well as my ALC is going down too. Do you have an idea what would be causing that?
What antenna are you using, first of all?
Hustler 6BTV.
Oh, okay, so it's not that. Tom Schaefer says potentially weak finals? Could be.
What about, are you using split mode on the rig? What rig are you using?
ICOM 7000. And yes, I am using fake split via WSJXTX.
But that's not true split. That's fake. That just means it jumps back and forth.
And the reason I ask is because even on my DX10, before I started using split, when you're on depending on the actual audio frequency that you're using, where you select to actually transmit, my power would go down further away from I was from the actual center frequency. And when you change it to split, it shifts it in increments so that your transmit is actually on your center frequency. Transmit is matching.
Okay. Yeah, because I noticed that it wasn't doing that before. It would seem to be pretty constant, but then I guess when I got a new computer and stuff, it started doing it with the sound drivers and stuff. And I thought maybe it was just like sound drivers. Maybe my computer was just acting up with the new rig. But I mean, I'm getting out. I'm making contacts. I just noticed that I have to like sometimes put the transceive a little higher to compensate, and it works just fine. And my SWR doesn't go up or anything. It stays the same. It looks okay. So I just don't know.
I'm not saying that that's it. I'm just saying it's something to check, something to be aware of. And I think I was talking to T.O. or something like that about it. And we were like, oh, hey, let's enable split. And suddenly, instead of doing 60 watts when I was supposed to be putting out 100, I was putting out 100 every where, no matter where I picked transmit at in the spectrum.
This is a recurring theme. Do you have a dummy load?
Honestly, that's not a bad, because that would rule out the antenna. Yeah.
I got to get a paint can.
No, MFJ sells a bunch of cheap ones that'll go up to like 200 watts. They're very cheap, and those, I would do that.
Comment.
Go ahead.
Load it out.
Comment. How hot is the PA? Is the heat sink? Because those things also suffer with warm degradation, because their heat sinks are a bit iffy for 100% load. Those both the 706 and the 7000 suffer with heating issues if they're run too hard.
What power are you putting out?
Bro, I usually try to put maybe 40. I try to put 50 or 60. But when I'm trying to get some of those big DX or the rare DXs, and I put out 100 just to try to see if I can snag them. But I got a cool homebrew fan on it that blows air into it constantly from it's like a fan, cooling fan.
Yeah.
So it blows air into the radio to keep it cool. So that's what I got going on it. And like I said, the radio's working fine. I've had it sent to ICOM already to get it repaired because its finals did blow out when I started the hobby about a year in. But since then, the radio's been working just fine. I've had no problems with it. I just noticed it's recurring now, and I just wanted to ask you if any of you have seen that issue with your radios.
So it's worth pointing out that most of the radios we have out now, you can do digital at 100 watts, and there's no problem. But some of the older radios, and I would put the 7000 in that group, you really shouldn't run that much power into them for digital, because that's full duty cycle. So that could be part of it, and likely that is what's going on, because if everything else has been fine, and then all of a sudden it's I don't really like this, it's getting too hot in here. That's possibly what's going on as well. So those are good comments from Mike and others.
Yeah, I appreciate the help, and I appreciate everybody's advice on it. I do. We'll check out the dummy load and see if that might be the issue. But thanks for answering that. That's all I wanted to ask for tonight.
Very good. Okay.
Any chance of HRCC branded dummy loads?
Maybe, and we'll come up with interesting oil that you can fill them with. So
Josh.
Yeah, let me take this one really fast on the YouTube, and then we'll come back to you, Josh. Hang out for 1 second. So, hypothetical question: D-Star and the like are more or less repeater retrans over the internet, which I'm not going to get into that. That's not totally true, but let's just go with that for the sake of argument. I'm more looking for a P2P, so peer-to-peer way to send files and longer message from a laptop. So that was from Devil Doge 31. So what do you guys, if you've ever moved data over ham radio, what do you all use or have tried?
You want to hear the 1990s version?
Well, I think he's going over VHF, UHF, so that improves our bandwidth a little bit.
And 91.
Yeah, actually, Don, yes, I do want to hear exactly, because I was also going to say something along these lines. Go for it.
Oh, okay. I was using Z modem over packet radio.
Yeah. So, no, go ahead. Go explain a little bit more for everybody.
Well, no, I mean, you would connect in, it would work just like a bulletin board. Mm-hmm. And some of the bulletin boards that people were running actually had, you had file transfers with Z modem, X modem, or Y modem. And you would just, fire up one of those suckers and send a file. You could do that for, whatever you were doing. And then the bulletin board would store it, and somebody could come along later and basically do the same thing. That's why I still wish that we had packet BBSs up.
I know. I wish we got to figure out a way to make that happen, Don. That's still kind of a secret.
Nowadays, even though the chap said, D-Star and grouped it into the other category. Sending a file over D-Star would work just fine on digital mode or on data mode.
Yeah, so actually there's a software that you can get if you go to D-Star info and you look for D-Rats. D-Rats is D-Star with the star flipped backwards. It's a software application you can actually use to transmit data over D-Star, and there's a lot of folks that use it for MCOM. It's actually pretty effective with D-Star radios. Obviously, you got to be on D-Star to make that work, though.
You sure you don't want to try Vara AC again?
Well, so there was my other things to mention is so VAR AC at the VHF UHF space you use Vara FM, and VAR AC will work with Vara FM at higher frequencies, and you can transfer files that way, and that's actually going to be a lot faster. You'll be able to kind of jam a penny in it, if you will, to bump up to like 9600 baud for transmitting for transmitting data, which is not fast, but it's definitely faster than what most people can do on amateur radio.
Yeah, I started off with 300 baud, so.
Oh yeah.
What, you didn't use Bell 212? The what was it?
110? Yeah, I did.
Baud, yeah.
Yeah, I did some
45.7, wasn't it, Ritty?
And in fact,
God, we're all old.
Yeah, I know. One of the systems I had, it didn't even have a screen. Everything that came in over the modem was printed off onto a piece of paper.
So, Madukar asked a question earlier. If you come back, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, Madukar, if you come back, he says, other than that, he was talking about Echolink. I don't know anything at all, even how to use Echolink or how to make contact. I would be really helpful if anyone can help me, please. Ham Radio Crash Course KF0MOF. So you have to give a little bit more background on like what you're trying to do. If you're just trying to use Echolink, you're probably better off just pulling up a video on YouTube that explains how to use it. It's kind of straightforward. You generally can just pull up a repeater in your local area and you can get on that one, or you can get on one far away from you if that works for you too. All right, let's go back to what's that? Go ahead.
Sorry about that. Good night, all. I'm hitting sack.
All right, take it easy, Dave. See ya. Let's go back to Josh. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah. What was the other comment there you had?
Oh, just a quick comment. The whole thing about the stickers. Do I message you about that to send them, or the supporting the? I remember seeing something about the stickers on the Patreon.
Oh no! If you're a producer level, then I send them out automatically. It's just I have to re-up my stickers occasionally, and that's what we're waiting for is new stickers.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. No, that's good. Cool. That's all I had.
Yeah, I just have to pull the names once the stickers come in, which I think I'm getting them this week, so they'll all come out. So sorry, everybody who's been waiting. I know there's some of you that have been waiting a while, so I apologize for that.
Josh, I got another one for you.
Yeah, go for it, Frank.
Okay, so I know I discussed this a little bit in Discord, so for YouTube and Twitch, I'll give background. Mm-hmm. I have an HF issue where anytime I key up specifically on 40 between 7.210 and 7.230 megahertz, I trip one of my house circuits, and it is just annoying. And I've choked everything. I put an RF isolator in, and even at 5 watts, it still doesn't. I can't even run FT8 on 40 without tripping it.
Yeah.
So
you could probably just pause there. Who makes the breaker? Who makes it? What's the make?
Eaton, EATON.
Yep. Yeah, they have a defect in them.
I saw that. I asked in Discord and then on Reddit, and I got answers on the Discord actually about that. I got the breakers in today, and so I'm hoping sometime this coming week I'm going to get them installed, and I will come back with a report on how well that actually works for me.
Good. Now, I'm not going to tell you to go do this yourself. If you don't feel comfortable, don't do this, but exchanging breakers is incredibly easy. It's very easy. You can...
Oh yeah, it's a piece of cake. I do have a buddy that is a ham and PG&E guy.
Okay.
He's going to come by and do it for me.
Okay.
My family knows I know electronics, but my grandfather was an electrician, and a family member is scared to death of anything electrical being done unless it's done by a professional.
Oh,
So I have to deal with that. So it might be a little longer than a week, but I thought I'd update everyone on what I've gotten done so far. They literally came in on FedEx this morning.
I will tell you that you are not the first, and you definitely won't be the last person that has joined the HRCC Discord after chat to talk about Eaton breakers, and that being the solution to their problem. And yes, those breakers in particular have a defect that causes them to switch when they do FT8 or digital modes in general.
Oh, not just digital modes, single sideband too. I cannot talk anywhere on 40.
That also makes sense.
And I've been battling this and back and forth on Discord, and Discord's been great in helping me get there, and I'm thankful for it, and I cannot wait to get on 40 for more stuff. So thank you.
Excellent. Let's take a quick moment here. I want to give a shout out to Adam K6ARK, who unfortunately can't be here because he's on a mountaintop right now, and I believe there's a picture, and I think I held it up briefly for a minute, but I didn't explain to people what it was. Let me see if I can find that thing again. Where the heck is it? There it is. All right, hold on. Let me pull this up. So there's Adam's campsite. Looks like he's backpacking because he's got a bottle of crystal geyser there, though. Says, just worked Adam. This is WB6EDK. Just worked Adam on CW. He passed on a hi to all HRCC. He is up on Agua Tibua Mountain. So there you go. Excellent. Okay, we had a True SDX comment, and I would like to. Yeah, it's. Oh, what just happened? I lost my chat. Hold on 1 second. Okay. So Brad asked, question, I was recently given a True SDX. That's a cool gift. I might actually consider buying some True SDXs to do giveaways on, because I think that would be fun for people. Not too difficult of a kit. To install the bootloader, I need an Arduino. Any recommendations for Arduino and accessories? And someone linked my video. I will tell you, I went through bootloader hell. I now have 3 or 4 different bootloaders for the True SDX, and I have gotten most of them to work. For the life of me, I can't remember which one was the best. So if you go back to past Josh and you look at that video that Austin dropped on flashing the bootloader, follow past Josh's recommendations. He was much more adjacent to the pain than current Josh is. So that's what I'd say on that one. All right, so we're all caught up.
Hey, Josh.
Go ahead, chat. Yep.
Hey, this is Nathaniel, W1OLE. It took me a minute to figure out how to be able to speak on the chat here. I had to switch over to push to talk.
Got it.
I was wondering if I could get some more background on the Eaton breaker situation. I'm a commercial electrician myself, and I actually had someone pose a similar question to me. He's having some trouble with a breaker tripping whenever he keys up his HF. Can you give me more insight on that?
No, other than somebody, if Jody's in the chat, Jody would probably be fast on the poll on this one. But Eaton had a post that they made online basically saying, yeah, we got problems if you hit it with RF. Literally, yeah, okay. Jody's got one link, but the Eatons in particular are notorious for tripping under any kind of RF around them, and that's the whole story. You basically have to get rid of them.
Eatons were the worst, but AFCIs in general are what the problem is. So Eaton AFCI is what you're focusing on, but any brand AFCI can have the issue.
And they actually, the Eaton, what they did is they have new breakers that they fixed whatever the RF problem was in it, and they're buy newer breakers that they just send out free of charge. It's basically like a recall notice. They'll send out the new breakers free of charge for you.
I mean, as long as they're like they can handle the RF transmission, then great. Do they? Have you tested them?
I have not been able. They came in FedEx today. I haven't been able to. Going to be a week or two before I get them in.
I'm guessing that I'm hoping what they're not doing is they're just sending you another of the same breaker going, oh yeah, it's bad. It's not bad. It's tripping under the RF. It's by design, so they can't like give you a better one unless they've redesigned it.
Yeah, just one point. This isn't all our faults, in general. I mean, I had the last house we just moved out of that I had built, that we rebuilt. Everything was our fault. I didn't have that issue, so it's not all our faults. It's just our faults do strange things with old wiring. But yeah, I know Eaton had a specific problem. So
yes, yeah, Eaton specifically is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's a slightly older house, so I don't think it has the arc fault breakers in it. But that is something that is a question that I posed to him, and I haven't gotten a definitive response on that yet. However, how do you go about getting the replacement breakers? You have to contact Eaton and just say, I'm having this problem, and they just send them out?
No, I go to Home Depot and I buy a replacement breaker that's not Eaton. That's what I did.
Honestly, I went to their customer service page on their website and I submitted a request, and they got right back to me within 24 hours and got it worked out. You have to send them a photo of your current breakers, and if they match the recall, they send you new breakers.
Yeah, that last link I posted actually has the name of 3 people at Eaton that you can contact directly with their personal email and phone numbers. So
I basically took that as a warning sign to just not get Eaton's, and I think I had 1 or 2, and I just swapped them out. I literally went to Home Depot and said, okay, we're going dumb breakers, and put them in. We're done.
Sounds like those you're eating crab.
They're eating crow.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, arc faults have their own, especially on old. I have an old ceiling fan in a bathroom that they redid the bath, but they used the old fan and had put an arc fault in because it was a new circuit they had to run for code and for the inspector. But it trips every once in a while just because old things trip with arc faults. So it's a new experience when you have arc faults.
Indeed. Let's see. So there was a question from 900 miles from normal. Given the GIFs from Smoking the Bandit you've been displaying on the stream, would you like to see a movie/TV show centered around ham radios? So I guess the short, easy answer is yes, of course. I'd love to see it. It's going to be good for the hobby, but it would also be dependent on like who's involved as some kind of like technical point of contact, because I think quickly it could turn into the Big Bang Theory, which just infuriates me to no end. So I don't know. It's always up to how they implement it, right?
Wasn't that called Frequency?
Yeah, but that's like got a supernatural component to it. Like it didn't need to. Like, oh, his radio talks to his dead father. It's like, oh yeah, I was just DXing my dead father the other day. He's still alive, even. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I guess, like, that's fine. Contact has ham radio right in the beginning, right? I mean, that we know that. You can't not watch a movie that involves a SWAT team that doesn't have a Baofeng in it. But so, there's all kinds of options there.
Independence Day.
Comment?
Go ahead, comment. I think that was Mike.
I found a sci-fi series called Fallen Skies, and 2 or 3 of the episodes have them using old valve equipment to try and stop the aliens.
Is that that's Noah Wiley, right? In Fallen Skies? Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad show. Again, so if the question is, would I like to see a movie or show centered around amateur radio? Yes, that'd be great. If amateur radio is just kind of like an ancillary thing and part of a sci-fi blah, 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 then like, yeah, sure. I'm not going to say no. But yeah, I would love to see radio get a bit more like, mass market attention.
Alf had amateur radio in it.
Alf did. Alf was a ham. That's right.
Yeah. What was the show with Tim Allen that had the hams? So who was the ham?
Last Man Standing.
Oh, that was it. That's right.
I actually operated that station. I went to the actual set in Century City, and I operated FT8. I think I have the record for the most FT8 contacts in the shortest amount of time. I think.
Oh, that's super cool.
But I think Joe Eisenberg went there after me, and I think he challenged my. I don't know if I hold the record or not anymore.
Man, the movie Frequency was the first time I'd ever heard a ham radio, other than like looking at it in radios in the Radio Shack catalog.
Mm-hmm.
I had no exposure to ham radio like at all as a kid. I had like nothing. There was nothing. I didn't even know any. There were hams like in around me, but I didn't know, and no one came to our school, or there was no outreach. It was just like that was the only thing I knew about ham radio until like I don't know,
Is that why you're a ham now?
I mean, a little bit, yeah.
My favorite thing about that movie is they were using. I'm pretty sure it was an HW 101, right? It was a Heathkit, classic Heathkit.
Definitely Heathkit. Yeah.
I haven't watched it since I got licensed.
Yeah, I'm like 99.5% certain it's that. I grew up in St. Joe, Michigan, which is right across from Benton Harbor, so it's a big Heathkit area. I just love seeing that rig right in the center of the movie.
Like I'll be honest though, like it being in the back of my mind just from having seen that movie, like I just used to love that movie because I don't know why, I just liked it, and like just having that in the back of my mind made me think about it when I decided like GMRS wasn't doing it for me, and I was like, I'm looking for something else, and then I was like, I remember ham radio, and I just started looking into it, and so I mean, yeah, that's part of the reason I got my license is the exposure to it, even in that movie where there's a lot of like stuff. I was like, I enjoyed the movie, but that's I mean, I don't know, that's actually probably a good bit of the the reason it was in my head to begin with. I mean,
So let's take this comment from Jimothy. Jimothy, what a good name. Question: went camping at the beach on Guam yesterday and tried getting on 10 meters, but for some reason I still can't get a signal out. Is this not a good location to set up? G90 Wolf River coil. And there's a picture to go along with that. We love the multimeter or the multimedia, and I love the Ultra can right there. That's right there, bud. So I can't tell from the picture. Have you deployed radials? You probably want to put more radials under it, because here's the thing with Guam: it's far enough away from everything that you're probably not. You might be hearing signals, but you might not be like making it out to those stations, particularly at 25 watts. How's the SWR? Is it tuned well? All those things would be interesting to me. I would do FT8 and see if you're showing up on something like PSK Reporter, right? Pull up your call sign and see where people are picking you up based off of your grid square. That would be what I would check. Also, someone's asking, was it during a CME event? So if you went during a solar storm, then you might not have gotten any of your signal out. So it depends. It depends, like most answers, right? Tell us a little bit more about your setup there, if you're still in the chat. Hope you are. Hope we can hear more. Big shout out to Arthur Heron, W6HER, for being a member there. Appreciate you. And the supporting comment there. Okay. Brad K4BTH asks, I'm looking at buying a used Kenwood TM D710GA. I have heard that the newer ones do not have the remote control option via DTMF. Anyone have information about that? And any thoughts on this radio? Does anyone have a newer one? Is that Sky Command? Is that the Kenwood?
Yeah, that's Sky Command. Yep.
Yeah. So, Sky Command was okay. It wasn't like the end all be all of remote communication, but it was okay. Does anybody have that radio, or do they ever use Sky Command? I think to use Sky Command, you needed one of like 3 radios, the D710GA being one of them, the Kenwood THD72 being the handheld you'd use to interface it, or the TS2000 was the other radio.
I think you could use Sky Command with the 480 too, if I'm not mistaken. The HF rig.
I don't know, so I'll take your word for it.
Oh yeah, no, wait a minute. How would you get the 2 meter stuff? No, never mind. Scratch that. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of something else. Never mind. I think maybe if you had an interface kit. Never mind. Yeah, you need a 2 meter part. Never mind.
Right. So we got back from Jimothy. Said I had 3 radials and my SWR was 1. The waterfall showed my signal going out, and I was able to get a couple of weak signals from Japan and Australia. You're at Guam, buddy. You're at Guam. You're actually in a situation where a 100-watt radio might be like a Yaesu FT891 might be like the way to go. I hate to say that, but I mean, like, I'm usually a big advocate of QRP in situations like this, but in Guam, that's a harder jump. There's also a big cliff to my south and west. I mean, that might be why you hear Australia and Japan, or they can hear you. Possibly. All right, let's go back to the Discord. Anybody have any questions over there? Anybody new? We'll take one last call. Anybody new here for the first time and like to say hi or ask a question? Anybody? I feel like there's been a lot of talking, so we want to give some space if anybody wants to jump in there. All right. Okay, then we'll just open it back up for any questions from anyone. Go ahead.
We doing a POTA at Dayton?
Yes. Ooh. Yeah, we got Alec. Alec's in here. What's up, man?
What up?
So, what do you got planned, man?
Probably bringing Buddy Hex amp. I don't know, 705 or maybe a 6400 flex, depending on how I feel.
Right on. Where do you think about activating?
Probably same place we did last year, the James whatever park. That's a little bit of a drive, but it was really nice. We had power there, which was excellent. Forgot the name of it. The state park.
Mike, are you looking for POTA?
I will do at least one POTA while I'm down there. Yeah, I had a 9-month break. I looked it up earlier after I did the one yesterday. It was since September 4th.
I mean, you might want to touch base with Alec. Alec, are you gonna bring the amp?
I am. Yep.
Yeah, Alec's got a portable amp he's gonna run, or does run.
And I modified the Buddy Hex to do QRO, so probably running 1,000 watt. Late at night, I don't know. Last year, Rob was there and we made a doublet, so I don't know what we'll do for low bands, but I'll have something, I'm sure.
Wait, the Buddy Hex can't do QRO?
It is limited to 250 watts or whatever because it's got a BNC. It's got the same thing that the Buddy Stick Pro has on it. The feed point.
I didn't know that. I'm really glad that I found that out because I was going to dump 1,000 watts into it.
Yeah, so I got DXE has a UHF or a SO239 or PL239. I have an adapter on it that has thicker wires on it that'll take full QRO.
It says 1.5 kW on the website.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not the feed point. You should ask Chris first before you.
I am. I'm gonna bug him. I'm gonna be like, Chris, I'm gonna dump legal limit into this bad boy.
Wasn't Matt running legal limit into his?
No.
Matt was definitely running power.
BNC's limited to 400 watts.
Yeah, so Matt made a new feed point for his, I believe.
Did he? Oh, I'm gonna bug Chris tomorrow then. I'm gonna be like, bro, I'm gonna take my lightning out and try and jam legal limit into this bad boy. What's going on here?
Hey, Josh, speaking of that, where are you going to POTA tomorrow?
Bolsa Chica. We're going to do a bonfire. You want to come out?
Oh, dude, I'm totally down.
So okay. So I won't be setting up the buddy hex. I'm mainly joking. What I'm going to do is, because there's so much limited space, I think I'm gonna try and jam as much power as I can. I want to see what is possible out of that 17-foot stainless steel whip that everybody uses. I want to see how much power you can put through that thing.
The SS-17?
Huh?
The SS-17 from Chameleon?
Yes, or MFJ or Wolf River or whatever.
1979, I think it is, yeah.
It should be able to handle legal limit from my point of view. It should be able to. It's all metal, unless there's some weird plasticky bits in there, which I we'll find out, I guess.
What time are you doing this?
Well, I got to get well, it opens at 6, and I got to get there to scout out, to hold a spot. So I'm going to be there all day. I'm going to be there all day.
So you don't want to try to push power through an ATOS?
No. It can't handle that.
Yeah, that plastic might get a little warped.
It would cry. Although I should bring the ATOS. That might be too ambitious. I'm like, am I going to do a mobile radio installation at the beach in the parking lot? I don't think that doesn't sound good. I'm going to try and enjoy myself tomorrow, as much as I can.
I do have those 650 watt ham sticks, but I don't know that I put more than 650 watt through.
Yeah, but those 17 footers are just they're telescopic pieces, so you should be able to put 1,000 watts into it. That's reasonable, I think.
I don't see how it would hurt it.
I mean, you can put it into it. You don't know what'll happen to them.
Well, let's find out.
You might get some of that CB radio arcing stuff going on.
Maybe. I don't think that.
Keep
I don't think I don't think
joints.
So I did check, by the way. I did print out my ARRL exposure notices, so I'll have those with me. There will not be close enough to anybody that will actually RF them, but it's gonna be at the parking lot of the beach. So I'm gonna be as cautious as I can. I'm gonna step up to it, but I am actually really curious to see. There is no reason in my mind that they can't handle it. And I texted Carl at Chameleon Antennas. It's like, hey, hypothetically, if you wanted to put legal limit into one of your 17-foot whips, would it handle it? And he's like, yeah, I think so. And I'm like, good enough for me. So let's do it.
I think so. Those are the key words. I think so.
He actually told me, he's like, I think so, but, do it and let me know, too, because I'm curious. And I'm like, absolutely.
Just as long as we don't see news at 6.
Man lights bonfire pit with ham radio.
And by the way, that 15 or that legal limit, you're doing that on FT8, right?
Oh, hell yeah. Okay, if we get to that point and it's solid, I'm gonna do the full I'm gonna be there all day, so I'm gonna be screwing around all day. I probably won't be running the amp most of the time.
What amp do you have that does legal limit?
The Expert.
Oh, you got an Expert. Okay.
I got an Expert. I am borrowing it.
All right.
And I gotta give it back. I literally the guys at Experts are probably tired of my BS. They sent it out for 220, the 220 240 plug, and then all my Discord admins were all in the chat trying to figure out, how do I plug it into my truck, because the truck is a twist lock generator 240 connector. So I'm literally going to Home Depot and buy. I had to reconnect the whole thing, and now it doesn't have the phase line because it's only 3 wires versus 4 wires, but it works perfectly. I tested it in Solvang when I went up to my mom's. Works great. As far as I'm concerned, the only thing I didn't have enough time with it was to build the appropriate cable that would plug into the back of the 7300 and then auto change the amp. So I will be auto changing it, but who cares? That's not a big deal.
Yeah, that's why I like RF sensing, but hey.
I love my Expert. They're great.
Yeah, I like my Mercury 3, but I honestly, I wouldn't mind an Expert too.
It's
they
nice.
Look really neat. Yeah.
Yeah, I just realized I didn't. I pulled out my Sporty 40 here, so
I'm gonna test
that too when I'm out there tomorrow.
Yeah, what I really want is a amp that plugs into the Ethernet, so you can do all that fancy scripting with it.
You mean like the PGXL or the KPA 1500? One of those two?
Yeah.
Or the RF2KS?
Yeah, the RF2KS to me looks like it's too expensive for what it is, but
How do you
I
figure?
because it doesn't look that much different than a Mercury Lux. Or sorry, not Mercury, but a KM3KM Mercury.
What's too
Lux.
expensive in amp world to you, Don?
Except
I'm
it
just
has a
curious.
tuner.
About over 6,000.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's the thing. I don't even.
Hottest.
Yeah, I don't even like 5K, but the what was it? The PGXL is like really expensive. However, it's literally 2 amplifiers.
So is the RF2KS, and it's $2,000 cheaper than the PGXL.
Yeah, the big difference with the PGXL and this, this kind. I have a PGXL on a 1500 KPA 1500 in my shack, but the KPA 1500 has a full tuner built into it already. So the problem with the PGXL is I had to add the TGXL to it as well. So
yeah, but the Expert 1.3K and the 1.5K have tuners built. You can get a tuner optionally,
but no Ethernet.
1.3. Right? Yeah, there's no Ethernet.
Agreed. Yep.
Yeah, the RF2KS does 2,400 watts, and that's only a limitation of the power supply. It'll do 3K. It's rated for 3K.
Hey, really quick.
Which amp is that?
The RF kits.
So really quick, sorry to interrupt. Austin K4 PBL, he was one of the folks who came out, or KN6 UWK, was one of the folks who came to the camp out. He's in the Discord right now, and he was mentioning some of the things we mentioned on the stream. And I just want to say, Austin, I literally have what's left of the moonshine right here, and I was going to probably dip into that before wrapping up. I'm going to be a hard out at 9 because I got to go get all my bags sorted out to go to the beach because I got to be there at 6. I got to be there before 6 a.m. So I'm probably waking up at 4 to get out there, and I'm going to take a nap at somewhere. But we're gonna dip into this. This is Orange Dreamsicle Moonshine.
Dude, that stuff was so good.
It was so good. It's
oh my god!
And you know what? And you know what, Shane? It's still good. Just so you know.
Dude, hook a brother up, player.
I don't know. Well, no, I'm not going to drink all that right now. There's no way I'm going to do that. But good stuff.
Is that basically like the Arby's orange summer shake that they have, but in moonshine form?
No, you know what it is? And I figured it out during the podcast. It gives strong Orange Julius vibes. Lot of Orange Julius going on.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's really good. It's really good. In fact, I'll have a little tug on it right now. Yeah, it's good. It's really good.
You know those orange creamsicles you have?
It's sticky though. It's sticky. It's sticky. So that's also why it's like. It's strong though.
Tell them about the beers that we tried.
It doesn't. Oh gosh, the beers we tried. I was so excited. So in my youth, back when, Darren, the guy who makes a lot of my music, that I've literally been using for years now. Really amazing friend of mine, just the coolest guy, probably one of my best friends, like best, actual personal friend that I know.
The guy who handled the barbecue fire.
No. Darren moved to Austin years ago.
Oh, different Darren?
Different Darren.
Got it. Okay.
So, long time ago, we used to do beer shares, and Darren just had always the best beers. He was a membership of all these different breweries and all this stuff, and he'd come over to the house, and he'd have a cooler, and he'd be dragging it in, and we'd just pass all these beers around. We just had a great time. And I got really excited. I'm like, we're going to do this camp out, and I'm like, I'm going to go get some really good beers. And so every one of these beers, like a bottle of beer, was like $25, and I bought like 4 or 5 of them. I was so excited.
$25?
And we started pouring them out.
Nothing.
Damn.
No, that's not. Honestly, that's not that much.
I'm gonna say that's nothing.
Yeah, I got them from a brewery. It's called Bottle Logic. Bottle Logic is in Anaheim, California, and they're incredibly popular because they do these very avant-garde mixtures of beer.
Are these at least growlers or something like big?
No,
right?
they're bottles, like just
regular
like
12-ounce bottle,
like a bomber, like a larger bottle.
Oh, okay.
So we had one like Vietnamese coffee and coffee stout and cinnamon bun stout and all this other stuff. And we started pouring them out for everybody. Everybody had their little cat cup and they're sipping on them. And I was among all of them. I'm like, none of these are very good. They
look like motor oil.
Well, no, that didn't surprise me. But yeah, they were not. They were not that good. They were not that good. I gotta say.
I thought they were all right.
The Vietnamese coffee one was the best one for sure. That was my favorite. Yeah.
Don't watch a movie.
I thought the moonshine is your favorite.
4 minutes. I already said time.
No, 9 o'clock. I'm gonna wrap up. My son is bugging me about going to watch a movie or watching a movie. Oh, hey! Before we get into complete wheels off, Silo. That's actually kind of fun. If anybody's watched that on Apple Television, it's pretty good.
Have you seen the John Wick 4 yet?
I haven't had. We were preparing for that camp out, man. We haven't had any time.
Oh man!
By the time Leia and I get a free moment, that's just her and I. It'll already be available on our television.
On streaming, yeah. Well, if you got a good sound system at your house, you'll be fine.
I do not.
Oh,
I do not. I'm going to take another moment here to run to the restroom really quick. I apologize, everybody. I guess I'm getting old. I will be right back. You guys enjoy the memes. The Discord's open, so if somebody has a question, go ahead and start talking, and then I'll be right back. And yes, Sean, normally Bottle Logic is like top tier, but these were not that great. I'll be right back. Ben, here you go. You put the headphones on, you can listen. I'll get you the headphones on. Ben's the admin right now. He's paying attention.
So Shane, I got a question for you. Have you ever done you've done FT8, right?
Yes, I have.
See, one of these days we need to work each other that way. That way we know for sure we've worked each other.
I could probably hit you with 10 watts, no problem. But depending on what band we're on, I'll probably go right over you.
Yeah, that's true. I've been hitting a lot of SoCal stations tonight on 40. I dialed the power back and knock on wood, 5 watts has been working.
Wow.
Have you worked me yet?
What?
Have you worked AZ yet?
I worked a couple stations there today, I think. Let's hear. Yeah, I worked a couple stations there.
Okay. Well, I'm calling in right now, so if you guys want to work, I'm there. But
I worked the first morning of the camp out on that Saturday morning. I worked Japan, Indonesia, and South Korea with 10 watts on my 705 and 40.
Oh, that's not bad. You know, the problem with my setup is I'm in-fed half-wave. It's about 18 feet off the ground. It's the PAR in-feds, 10 through 80 in-fed half-wave. And it's only about 18 feet off the ground, and with the FT8 on 40, like I was talking about earlier, if I run more than 5 watts, I'm killing circuits right now. But that's why I usually stick to 20. But yeah, I'd say, you know, when I'm around, you'll see me when I'm around.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I will. I got the Toffee and Ham Radios Apollo in-fed halfway, dude. That thing works so good.
I have one of their antennas. I forgot. It's not the in-fed half-wave. It's the linked dipole, and I made a mistake on it, and I have to go back and fix. But I haven't had the time to go back and fix it.
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Josh.
Yo.
Before we jumped on the air, before you came out, we were talking about signal reports and stuff like that, and honest signal reports. What do you think about like giving honest signal reports to stations, or do you stick with the general 5.9 during contests and stuff?
So to be honest, I don't care. I really don't, and I'll give you 2 reasons. The first is when it's a contest. You made the contact, right? You made it. The pieces of information that you have. We're on this side. The pieces of information you have is good enough to make the contact. It doesn't have to be real, and most of the time it doesn't have to be real. The only time people care about it is like when they might be dealing with something going on with their station, or it's like a DX contact, and that's like interesting information. A POTA, I don't care about the POTA. In fact, they don't care either if I don't include that, So it's important when it's important, and when it's not important, it's not important. That's kind of how I'd look at it.
Okay, just wanted your thoughts.
Is that deeply wounding to anybody? Is anybody like ride or die, real signal reports all the time?
Yeah, that's how I do it on POTA. I tell people what I think their signal report sounds like. But as far as my log goes, it's everybody gets a 5.9.
Okay, so Don, there you go. Okay, so yes, I do that too. I give the real signal report when I'm doing POTA, but most of the time I just log the 5.9, and then that's what gets uploaded.
But
remember, signal report's not even required for POTA.
I know.
Right.
I know. Yeah. So
But
I will give you the real signal report, but I don't log it.
Yeah, and there is a reason why I want one in return, and that's because if I'm talking to you and you're in Alaska and you're hearing me 4-1, that's kind of significant in terms
Heck
of
yeah.
The next time maybe I'll get a 6-1 from you, so that means conditions have changed or whatever. So, or not a 6-1, but a
6-1.
By the way, if you got a 401 from Alaska, I know exactly who gave it to you.
Yeah, KL7.
Exactly, KL7W.
Yeah. Because I think everybody works him, but I'm glad he's out there. I'm absolutely glad he's out there.
There's a new dude up there, so you never know.
Yeah, there's two guys. One day I got two guys from.
Well, no, one of the members from here has just moved up there. He's going to be setting his station up shortly.
Yeah, but what I said earlier in the stream, I think before Josh got here, is I do not give people reports from my radio. So in other words, I don't look at the radio. I listen to it and I tell you what I think it is, because very often, in fact, for hours, I can go without the needle on the radio even moving. And I can work people right and left. And some of them sound a lot stronger than others, but the needle doesn't move. And very rarely does it move, up to S3, maybe even S6.
Mm-hmm.
But you can hear people so well when there's no noise.
Right.
I submit that sounds like your S meter is not calibrated, but I just figure instead of guessing, I'll just give them whatever my S meter says, and I figure the POTA people want to know what the report is. I don't care what mine is, but that's what I figure. So
yeah, then I'd be giving everybody a 5-0. And no, my meters are calibrated because I've got like 5 radios I've done this on, and all of them agree. They're all of them are just like dead stop, nothing.
Yeah,
I mean, if your gain's not all the if your RF gain's not all the way up, your S meter's not gonna do anything.
Right. In Don's case, if he has a 0 noise floor, then his gain's probably all the way up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I may calibrate. I'm sorry.
So it's a thing like, it when you see it, and when you need to give it, or if people care about it, they'll ask, and then you give them a real one, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I tell you
for contests, it's expected. I mean, if you don't give 5.9 during a contest, like for a RIDI contest, if you don't give a 5.9, I mean, that could screw somebody up, because they might actually be looking for the 5.9 in the stream to differentiate between noise and somebody actually sending their signal. So you'll just screw things up by not giving a 5.9 in a contest.
I'll be honest, there's contesters that won't even log you.
Yeah, and N1MM is automatically set up to give 5.9s. It's just asking for trouble, like as far as contests go, not giving a 5.9. All the rules will say 5.9. The rules for most contests will specify that as part of the exchange, 5.9.
Yeah, the reason we do it in POTA is because we are judging what we're doing. We're not really going to record it, but we are kind of listening. So if I'm running an in-fed half wave today, and you're in Colorado and giving me a signal report, and I'm running a DX Commander tomorrow, and you're giving me a report, there's kind of a little difference there. I might judge my antenna differently next time I make an antenna choice. So there are a few reasons why we do it in POTA. Contesting, I don't even really. I know everybody knows that the things are fake in a contest.
Right, and that exact reason, Don, is why I give the real whatever the radio says. That's because that's the same thing. They may be comparing two things or comparing multiple radios or antennas or whatnot. So that's why I just rather than me guessing, I just give them what the radio says. So.
Yeah, and that's why in POTA, POTA is not a contest. And by the way, that's one of the things I hate about this new plaque event, because they're making it into a contest and pretending it's a contest, and that's going to color everything we do from now on in POTA.
I'm a little too honest with my reports. As I said earlier, I'll go and give them an honest report. If you're a 5.5, you're a 5.5. But if the meter says they're really coming in about a 5.7, I might give them a 5.6. Just based on what I hear and what the meter's saying.
I will say that, I think most of the time this doesn't matter. The people that get upset about this, it's almost like it's kind of like their hill to die on. It's like, why is this even really that important?
It's so subjective too.
It's subjective to the radio that you're talking on, how sensitive the radio is. Should we also explain how deep in the noise my receiver functions? Should that also go in your log? Because if you don't have that, then how does
what your noise floor is,
right?
Where your RF gain is set, and most of my voice I do these days is mobile, and everybody I talk to is like a 5.9. 1 second, and then 5 seconds later they're a 5.2 because I went around a corner.
Right.
So it just changes all the time.
Right. So even in the best situations, well, what define the best situations? How good is your antenna? How good is your station? If you don't have that other information, then a true 5.9 is meaningless. If it's a 5-element Yagi on 20 meters, that 5.9 is going to be different than if it was a dipole in somebody's backyard, right?
It's a courtesy. The only time I'll ever seriously think about it and give them my honest opinion is if they say, "Hey, I'm working on this thing," or "I'm going to change antennas," and and they're trying something.
Yes. Then I'm down. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a 5.9 or a no copy.
See, I do something like that. I'm always messing around with antennas. So what I'll do is if I build a new, like the other day, I built a new in-fed half wave, a new design for my little setup for my QRP, and so I get on my X6100. I start looking for a POTA station. I tell them, "Hey, I'm testing out an antenna. How do I sound?" And they say, "Oh, real 5.9." I'm like, "Oh, great, thanks." And that's it. But that's the only time I really care. Is if I want to know, But then I'll find a POTA station because I know they're out in a park somewhere, so they're not pointing a beam at me or anything. And that's what I'll tell them. I'm like, "Hey, I'm testing out this antenna. You care to give me a signal report?"
You guys have convinced me. From now on, everybody I work in POTA is 5.7.
Yeah, the POTA is kind of fun because I do, again, I'll give the real signal report, but most of the time I'll just, log at 5.9 or whatever just to move it on, because that's kind of what most loggers do, is they just preset you up 5.9. And when I'm doing it, it's kind of like, let's just move on.
Yeah, but that won't be confirmed contact if you gave them something else and then
Well, they don't look at that. That's not one of the things they check.
POTA doesn't matter. You're going to be the one that's logging. The guy that you're talking to is not going to log to POTA.
I absolutely hate where they just do these contests where everything's a 5.9. I'm like, why bother doing the signal report? It doesn't matter. It's stupid to even have it.
It's just another piece of information to exchange, and that's generally in contests there. And I know what you're saying.
It's not even real. So why do it? Why not just eliminate it?
Neither is any of the other information real. I mean, who cares about, like, you're the 50th guy I talked to. Hey, I could start at 50. What do you know? I mean, so it's all like useless information.
Well, in that
It's
case,
the
though,
historical carryover.
in that case, I will say though that it is matching. So in a contest, and that's why it's really important if you don't give a 5.9,
right,
then log whatever you gave.
Yeah, but
so because that is checked in the checking, you'll cause somebody to lose a contact if they if they have the wrong thing when the log checker's wrong, because the log checkers will look at both of those.
Yeah,
so that's really all that information is. It's just to make sure that you actually did indeed copy the station correctly. So
now I will say one of the big differences. That's one of the big differences between contests and the net. On nets, they want accurate signal reports. People really want to know what they really are. If they're a 5.7, they're a 5.7. If they're a 4.4, give them a 44.
Yeah, and there's again, I'd say that's for the same reason we do it in POTA. That, well, I mean, we're not going to log it, but we try to be accurate for the same reasons, so that, like, the next time you run that net, maybe you're on a different antenna, maybe whatever the band conditions have changed, and it's just a way of keeping track. If you watch Callum's streams, he does the same thing. He records what people send him, and then when he brings them up the next time, he'll look at what they've sent last time, and what did he give them, and what did they give him, and he compares them right there when he's talking to you.
But
right, maybe there was an appreciable improvement or degradation, either way.
But that's also like, that's different from a contest or a POTA.
Yeah.
That's like a fun. That's like what he does for fun. Like, he enjoys that. So yeah, absolutely, go nuts if you like doing that. More power to you. No problem.
Well, I mean, nets are for fun too. I mean, I work all kind of stations on nets. That's where.
Well, I wasn't taken away from nets. I'm
no,
not taken away from that.
And the thing is that there's always this conflict between nets and contests. They're literally, the contesters always step on they don't want to. There's always confrontation between the two.
Just keep your nets to the war fans, and you got no issues.
So we oh, very good.
I was just going to say, if somebody's if somebody's there first, obviously you're on the frequency. You've got the thing. The problem is that a lot of people that are checking the net, you may not hear them if you're just on there as a contest or whatever. You may not hear all the stations that are trying to check in, and when those stations are they're expecting it to be a net to be on a certain frequency at a certain time, and then there's some guy that's out there.
That's the big mistake right there. Never ever assume that, because if somebody's already there, you have to move the net, and you need to be able to move your net. You should not insist that somebody that is already there move for you.
Amen, brother.
No, it's usually it's usually cordial. It's usually hey, so we regularly 365 days a year we have an net on this.
You shouldn't even ask. You shouldn't even ask.
I agree.
There's somebody there. It's frequencies in use, dude.
All right.
You don't even ask.
Right, but the problem is that one guy that's working isn't going to hear all the other stations necessarily that might be trying to check into that net, and so that's usually where but they do. I mean, most of the nets I work, I don't know. I'm kind of torn.
All right,
I've heard some net guys be real cordial about it, and I've heard some net guys just act like complete a-holes.
Yep.
To people doing POTA activations. It's like, hey, lighten up, Francis. But,
but it's also the other way around too. I mean,
sure. I mean, there's people that
it works both ways. It's a two-way street.
Mobile maritime
very easily move. But if you're somebody doing some activation, you got like a huge pile up or whatever. The guys doing that net should be like, hey, this guy's rocking and rolling. We should bug out to the secondary frequency. It just seems. But somebody always wants to.
I doubt most of them have secondary frequencies, to be honest.
No, they all do. Yeah,
they all do. There's no way. There's no way.
No way.
They do, but nobody knows what it is anymore.
All right. I got a break.
Airtime mobile net.
We're gonna take a break here, and we're gonna go to a question. This will bring us back into the amp talk for a second. Question about amplifiers. while we're on the topic, we strayed from the topic about 20 minutes ago when this question was asked. But regardless, what do you recommend for a budget-friendly amp for the FT818? So this would be a really good opportunity to remind everybody that budget-friendly is not a word. It's not a term that should be a part of your vernacular. Instead, give a dollar range, please. From now on, when you're talking ham radio, just be very explicit with what your budget is. That will make everybody's life so much easier because your budget is not my budget, is not Bob's budget, is not... We don't know, right? Like, so just remove that from your common discussion point. Just be very honest and say, I want to drop 200 bills on an amp for my 818. And then there you go. So does anybody have an amp for a QRP radio they would recommend?
He said 300 for his budget.
Oh, about 300. There you go. So 300. Okay, we can work with that. Anybody got a hot recommendation?
How high do you want to go when you amplify?
Well, $300 worth. That's how high.
Well, because I mean, I run a QRP amp that's called a Micro PA50, and I get 50 watts out of it.
Yeah.
That's fine for me. But
How much is that?
It's about
$120.
$87. No, well, I don't know. I was going to look it up to be sure, but yeah, I'm running that right now on my QDX, and it works just fantastic on the QDX.
So we got a mention for the HL100B. That's another option there.
Something on QRZ a little bit ago. Let me see.
Also looks like a Miata in the background, so good for you.
Hard Rock 50.
Is the Miata and the amp go for $300?
No.
Joking, sorry.
Yeah, the Micro PA50 is about 157.
Yeah, get the amp, get a decent
right
aerial.
on, Mark, right on.
Anybody ever build their own PA?
I have not, but they're not
Hex
too
has.
difficult.
And there's a guy on Toad's Discord he builds his own radios and his own amplifiers. He's a VK call, like dark.
I think that's
the amp is the easy part to build. You got to make sure you have all the right filters in it. That's the hard part.
Yeah, that's
even doing the amp right's not that easy, especially if you're doing solid state.
Yeah, there's a lot of solid state kits out there that are fairly inexpensive for 600 or 700 watts, but then you look at them and you go, wait a minute, I've got to add the filters to this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it really gets expensive.
Actually, it's not even the filters, the controls get you. The controls and TR switching.
And there's a bunch of there's a pretty decent Facebook group like centered around that I get on and just read.
Yeah, I'm on that Facebook group.
And the micro PA50 has is suppressed properly, as far as filtering and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like a good option.
I've checked it. I don't really have any IMDs or anything on it.
Okay, that sounds like a good candidate for unless somebody knows of a 100-watt one for a little more, but still under $300.
The Zygu 125 is not bad.
That's $500 though.
And used, you might be able to pick it up for $300.
Maybe.
I think I sold mine for about $300.
But that's $500 for a 100-watt amp.
Yeah.
Right. Well, look at the one that Jody posted, that KXPA 100. That's not cheap.
Well,
not $300.
No.
I would say if you're interested, if you're going down the route of like just building amps for the sake of learning the technology and everything, it's like build a QRP rig and then do one of the QRP to 25, 50, or 100-watt amps. God, why am I brain farting? Josh, who was the guy last year with QDX? That's
QRP Labs.
Yeah.
Yeah, QRP Labs. They have all that. Like that's the route I'd recommend. If like someone just wants to get their hands wet building.
Well, isn't that Hard Rock also a kit?
Yeah, pretty sure.
The PA50? I don't know if the 50 is a kit.
Well, there was one that was a kit. I can't remember now which one.
Yeah, the big boy was a kit because it's
the 50's
more
a
than
kit.
15 dB. Is it? Okay.
One thing I was going to throw out there, if you are getting one of these amps, I don't think these cheaper ones have a ATU unit with them, so you might need to get one of those too if your antenna is not resonant.
Yeah, I got a $50 tuner for mine.
For QRP resonant antennas, we already know that's the way to go, right? Hopefully. So, 50 watts is not bad on QRP. That's no joke. That's doubling. That's a full S unit, right? So if you think about that, if you're talking pure QRP, 5 to 10 watts, 20 to 40, that's 1.5 S units higher with 50 watts. That's pretty good. That's really good.
And Jody, when Apes is bad because mine does not have the problems he's calling out on his. None of the problems.
Yeah, was that the same amplifier though?
Yep, exactly the same. I'm the one that recommended he get that amplifier because mine never had any problems. Still doesn't have any problems.
I think they're all over the place. Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah, they are. They're from China. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
When I had the 125, I was using it with the G90, and I got rid of it after a while because it worked, but just with using compromised antennas out in the field, as it were, 20 watts, 100 watts, I kind of was getting the same results, and it was just a lot less shit to carry. So,
yeah, so
that was why I sold mine. But it was a nice amp with a built-in ATU. It was just like a whole other thing bigger than the radio, and I seemed to get results with 20 watts, so I gave it up.
I would like to point out that in our wireless hobby, when you start adding things like tuners and PAs, power amplifiers, you start adding more wires and more junk and all kinds of extra stuff to drag into the field. So oftentimes the best solution is super simple. I'll just do QRP, or I'll go buy a 100 watt radio, and that's it. That's the solution. And for POTA stuff, if you're the DX, you're fine. You don't necessarily need an amp. You really don't. You'll activate that POTA, no problem. If you have a good antenna, if your antenna's good. As always, focus on your antenna.
Yeah, that was my thoughts as well. This is the guy that asked the question, by the way. I was looking at a lot of those like Chinesium amps, and they just weren't really doing it for me. So if you scroll up in the chat, I posted a picture of the antenna that I made, which is a homebrewed DX Commander, and that thing's been working great, but getting a little bit more power out would be nice, and an ACU would also be really nice.
So there you go. All right, we got about 7 minutes before I got to wrap up here because wife bailed out. She took my truck and she left. I think she got to go do some work stuff. I think she got to go do some work stuff right now. So I've got the kids here. Hello. Any more questions in the chat on the Discord or on the YouTube? And if you're a newcomer, we'd love to hear from you. But you're in the pile now. So anybody with anything new, let's talk about it before we wrap up.
I got a question.
Yeah, go for it.
So I am new to CW, and by new I mean I don't know how to do it yet, but I'm working on it.
Okay.
So I decided to make a key, like a set of paddles, and I made a set of paddles. Like I designed it and 3D printed it and made it. But I don't actually know what makes a good set of paddles a good set of paddles. Now I'm sure the ones I built aren't probably considered a good set of paddles, but like what are the characteristics that you would like say make a good set of paddles? Is it like just like how like just the feel of it, like what, like, you know what I mean, like what makes them good?
Comment.
I was gonna say go to somebody who does CW more, like Mike or Mike. You want to jump in there? Go for it.
Charlie, you want to talk?
I was just gonna say, go on to Red Summit RFs on YouTube. He does a review of various different channels of keys, and if you look at his criteria, you'll get an idea as to what constitutes a good key, because it is a personal item. It's not an item you can sort of quantify, but there's enough commonality between several of his reviews so you can get an idea how yours scales.
It depends. It depends on how you're using it too. You're talking in the shack, or you're talking about portable. There are commonalities though. Throw is the big one, and spacing between paddles. Throw is a feel thing. I can't tell you what is going to be good for you or not. When you're an early operator, you're probably going to want more throw than what a seasoned operator is going to want. But that's check and adjust. Make sure whatever key you're using allows you to adjust the spacing between the paddle itself and the contact on each side. If you're talking about operating portable, you're going to want something you can lock down. A lot of the soda guys, they have like, I've seen Adam with it before. He has like a Velcro strap that goes around his leg, and he has a real light key, but he straps it down so it's anchored. Whatever application you're operating in with paddles, you're pushing from opposite ends, and it's going to physically move around on you. So you want to lock that. You want to anchor it in place one way or the other. In the shack, steel is king. You want mass. You want as much weight as low as possible on your leg. Whatever, just something to lock it in. So just things to consider.
You said exactly what I was going to say. Is you don't want to be chasing your key around the shack. If it's in the shack, you want something heavy enough that it's not going to move, and that could be just putting a base plate under it. It doesn't have to be a heavy key necessarily.
Since you're learning or you're new to it, if you 3D printed a key and that works, if you have to put a weighted piece of wood down on the bottom of it or something like that to keep it from moving around, that's good before you start buying Bigalis and whatnot. Because once you start getting into buying keys, they're like rabbits. I think I'm up to 6 of them now. You start collecting them. So
I will say that you were getting into it because you were 3D printing keys is the coolest way into CW I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we
seriously, it is.
A few people printed up printed 3 or 4 up for a CW class.
So Mike, you don't like that one that Jody posted in the chat?
Hey, it's gonna work. I have had CW contacts before tapping bare wires together.
Mm-hmm.
So anything works.
If you watch my 905 testing video, the guy was using RCA cables, grounding them. That's how
you can use the up down buttons on most Icon microphones nowadays for a paddle.
Yeah, that Adam has that one where it's just a little bit bent piece of wire that comes up off the board that he taps.
And he grounds it on the crystal, the case of the crystal.
Yeah.
That I almost think that's like black belt level stuff, like screwing around with all that. What I would recommend you do if you're really serious about learning CW, go join a group like the Long Island CW Club and just kind of like go with the flow. I know they recommend like American Morse keys sometimes, and you can do straight key, you can use iambic, it's fine. There's some folks that are using just side swipers, and honestly, you can build a side swiper out of a hacksaw blade. You just grind the teeth off of it, and you can make the whole thing right off of that. And there's a lot of people who love doing that, but it's a I like UK Mike's point that it's a personal thing. It's a device that like no one can tell you if this is right for you. You tell you through using it if it's right for you, which also makes it tricky because that means you're probably going to go through a few keys before you find one you like.
Mm-hmm. And
it's worth mentioning, I also have a bencher that I got at a Hamfest that from a Silent Key estate.
Oh, that's a great one because the Long Island group, a friend of mine's in the class right now, and they actually told them to go out and buy a BY1, so a bencher. So you're ahead of the game there if you have a bencher.
Yeah, I got it. And then so actually the reason I designed the 3D printer one is because I made the Morse tutor. It's W8. I can't really call sign, but it's called the Morse tutor. Well, I made it. Well, my niece came over and she was obsessed with the thing.
Oh, that's cool.
So they came over for a sleepover, and so she was obsessed with the thing. And I'd ordered 5 circuit boards to build them. So I built like 5 of them. And so I actually gave her one, but I didn't have a key to give her. So I designed it, 3D printed it. And by the morning I had a key for her, and I actually did screw it down to a piece of, it's actually a block off plate that came off of a piece of heavy equipment. And I just put rubber feet on it and screwed the key down to it. But by the morning I had built her a key to take home.
Oh.
with the Morse tutor, and so she was bugging her whole family with dits and das, and but
That's cool. That's really cool.
The one cool thing is those Morse tutors. They have if they're in proximity, they can talk to each other wirelessly, like over it's like an ad hoc Wi-Fi network.
Is that like the Morserino?
No, it's I can't remember who. Is it W8BH?
I've got one of those. Did I do that? I did a video on that, right? I think I did. The little black box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's got a screen.
Oh.
Hang on.
Yeah, drop a link to that.
W8BH Morse tutor. It's they were talking about it one day on the on the ham radio workbench, and it's got a screen. It does all kind of stuff. It's actually.
Is that the one Vince makes?
He makes, yes, that's the ones that he does the group buy builds for. But
Yeah,
I didn't get in on that,
VE.
so I did my own. I ordered my own circuit boards and everything. Because it's all on the W8BH .net.
I'm looking at it right now.
It's VE3 VLK, is that right?
VE6 LK.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
what he
but
said.
it's not. It's W8BH's design.
Right, but
he does
for
a group
kits.
build, and
Yeah.
then he does kits.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's actually.
God, it's. I mean, I'm not good enough in Morse code to tell you the right answer for any of this, but like, I know that the reality of it is I didn't start getting better at it until I started listening to like people on the air actually doing Morse code, and then another step was chasing POTAs. To be honest, the chasing POTAs I think has helped more than most things. For a beginner, it's kind of like getting a Honda Civic. You're like, you don't know what Ferrari drives like because you don't have the skill yet. So it's almost like, don't worry about it. Also, this is not necessarily one of those instances where you're like, buy once, cry once. Let me go just buy a Bengali and I'm done with it, because the Bengalis are all unique little pieces of kit as well. And so you can't just like say, oh, I bought a Bengali, it is the best key and I'm set for life. No, probably not. It takes time. Take your time with it. I honestly think the 3D printed key is the way to go, and let's just start there. Like, start there. Get on the air, get some key time, and then you're gonna start figuring out what you like and what you don't like. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say figure out if you want a straight key or a
Mark.
paddle,
Mhm.
and honestly, if you're not sure, go with the MFJ or whatever the cheap one is. Just get your feet
Don't
wet.
go with the MFJ. I will say, don't go with the MFJ if it's the one that they just made like a piece of metal that they folded up into a C, and then the straight lever sits in there. Don't do that. It needs to have separate. It needs to have separate mount points for the.
No.
Yeah. Don't do that key. That key's trash. Don't do that.
No, what I'm referring to is their classic dual lever
yes.
paddle.
Yes.
Well, which is what I use. I actually still use that for POTA. Like that's been my go-to key forever. So like I will recommend that day and night to anyone. It's spring, it's not magnetic, it's not clean, but it gets you in there, and it's even nowadays I think it's $60, right, tops.
Well, as far as like what makes it a good key question, I'm really asking because I'm going to make another one, but I want to make it out.
Oh.
Yeah. So
from
like,
a development design point of view.
I have like a small milling machine, a small lathe, and I just want to like, I don't know, I just want to.
You want me to? Oh, okay. So that I can actually answer as a semi-engineer type brain person. If you're talking about designing a key, adjustability and rigidity is going to be the thing that you're going to look for, right? If you're going to design a key, you want the ability to be able to adjust it so that whomever is going to be the end user of it is going to be able to suit it or modify it to fit their needs. And you want the structure of it to be rigid enough that it's going to stand up to use. Tom adds weight, which weight is great, but if you're talking 3D printing, then that's going to be something you're going to have to add in the base plate or some kind of mounting structure, like a leg connection. And so that's also a factor of like clearance, that kind of stuff. If they're going to leg mount it, then, the paddles have to be clear enough that it's not going to get caught up in a pant or whatever. Just think like what a user would do in this case, and that's going to yield a better result of like what a good key would look like. But adjustability is the big one, for sure.
That's cool. I just didn't know, like, because I don't have a lot of, experience with it. I just like, I know like on the bencher, like it's kind of got like a nice crisp like break almost even, and I didn't know if that was something people wanted and I'm not trying to make stuff to sell it. I just want to do it to kind of just to do it. But like also, as I get better, I want to have, I don't know, I want to make keys for myself and whatever, or whatever if someone wants one. But I mean, like, I don't know, maybe
Yeah, Jody posted the key that I
like
don't recommend. That little center bracket that it connects to it's a failure point. Don't get that key.
Yeah, I have an old MFJ that I got back in 91, 92. And it's really nice. It looks like, what is that military one that everybody likes?
The
J38.
Yeah, it looks like that. Has the same base and everything. And that was the one I always used. And do any of these Morse tutor things support completely a straight key? Because that's one of the problems I have with the Morse Reno. The reason I don't use it is because it's like, okay, if you use paddles, you can do all of these neat things with it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's straight key, you can only do this one or two things, I think, and that's it. And I'm a straight key guy. I cannot stand. I don't want to learn how to use a paddle. I just don't.
You're set in your ways, Don.
Well,
as I take another pull in the shine.
I've tried. I have tried so many times to learn a paddle, and it's like it makes no sense to me. So I don't. Whatever. I'm fine with a straight key, but what I want is one of those like tutor things or whatever that fully supports a straight key.
I mean, I don't think you lose.
You want to
any
sell your
features
Morse Reno?
on this one. I don't think you lose any features if you set it to take a straight key.
Well, I was looking through the thing, and his third instructions on it. Well, let's add paddles to it. Like, no, let's not. But so I don't know, because that's really a software thing as to whether he supports everything.
Yeah, but like I've set it to a straight key and then just like tinkered around with it. Even though I don't have a straight key, I mean, I just made this a straight key, and then like it does it. I mean, I didn't find anything it didn't do. I mean, it'll do like, I mean, it mostly like you can do copy practice, and it'll spit out like random call signs you could copy, and then you can like you can send into it, and then you can do it in like a.
Yeah,
it picks it up if you do it straight. Like if you.
Yeah, if your key is really good, I think the reason that they like paddles is because when you hit something on a paddle, it will definitely send a dot or a dash, and the software can more easily determine what it is. And if you're using a straight key, that's all up to you.
Mm-hmm.
But one of these days, you guys are going to be stuck in a prison, and all you're going to have is that pipe. And that pipe to bang on with, and you're going to not be able to do your Morse code because you're not going to have the paddles
with a pipe.
I'm going to be in a foreign prison.
And you're going to want to send a message with
Timmy,
Morse
have
code.
you ever been inside a Turkish prison?
I have a straight key. I started on that.
FSK.
I only know how to use a bug.
Or
geez,
if you're sitting in front of a camera and the only thing is your eye blink that you can use to send the code with, how are you going to do it if you don't know straight key?
That has nothing to do with
how
a
do you
straight
know
key.
how do you know how to send torture if you don't know?
Yeah, that has nothing to do with a straight key. Knowing how to send code and knowing how to send the
You have
code.
to memorize torture.
That did happen though, didn't it? Back
Yes.
in,
It did
Vietnam?
No, it was over in Middle East.
I
No, it
No,
was
it's
in,
Vietnam.
It was in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And the
Vietnam.
Vietnam.
Guys already
Saigon.
talking about it.
What about the U2 guy?
No, Gary Powers
Gary
didn't do that. No, he didn't do that.
Gary,
It was
Gary
in
Powers
Hanoi
didn't do
Hilton.
that.
Well,
All right.
now.
I have to head out, but I
I'm
realized
a
that
no code hostage.
I didn't talk about the flame up. I found it on the live stream.
What?
What flame up? What? Huh?
Right.
So the barbecue
chicken got a
got
little
fire.
crispy.
Oh, I saw that. That was funny.
Oh yeah, it was very hilarious. I saw that last week.
And,
It's
and,
bad
and
and
what we
barbecue
saw in the
don't
live stream
mix.
was actually the smaller fire.
Oh,
Blackened
Oh,
You
How
can see the
blackened did it
flame
get?
building up in the background, like right here.
Oh, that's right. I forgot it happened twice, didn't it?
Yeah, so ultimately what happened is we fully engulfed the oil in the fry in the tray catch on the bottom, and it completely like degreased the engine or the grill, like it completely cleaned it.
It's flashed. It's flashed.
It burnt all the oil. Like I ran to grab a fire extinguisher because it was just out of control.
Josh, did the bigger flame happen after the initial flame?
Yes.
I know it did because you moved your camera angle away from the grill.
No, but after the live stream ended, there was an even larger one.
Oh,
it just
yeah.
kept
Do you have
going. It was
pictures?
bad. It was bad.
Did you guys
Too
get
much
chicken
chicken.
at least?
I like
So
how
did anybody eat the food that was on the grill at that time?
Oh yeah. Well, we had multiple loads of chicken. Yeah, that was me moving the camera.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here.
We're
Move
just gonna
along.
burn down the whole friggin' campsite.
That
Oh,
was
man.
just great seeing that.
That was amazing.
and I would be curious what you found out about streaming from a location like that, because I think you said you changed the way your phone was working, and it's all of a sudden it was working better.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and talk about that because I didn't talk about it on the live stream. I didn't have enough time. All right, so that was the unit that I was streaming off of. I was using a hotspot, a T-Mobile hotspot. Okay, so a couple of things. I had a Wii Boost antenna that the metal of the shelter was corrugated steel. So I just slapped the antenna on top of that, and that got us like a couple extra bars on the signal, whatever. I have live streamed from that location before, but that was on AT&T using my phone as a tether. This worked okay. I'm not sure what happened at the 30-minute mark of the live stream where it died. I don't know why that happened, to be honest. But it worked pretty well. I was actually pretty impressed by it. Now, the piece of info that a lot of you didn't know because the stream never came back online is we also attempted Starlink. Starlink was there. Mark actually, it was Mark, right? Mark, or you can clarify that. It was yours, right? Was that your Starlink? Yep. Okay. We tried Starlink too, and Starlink, as much as I don't like Elon Musk, download is really good. The upload numbers are good, but I think what happened is you're talking about like when you're doing a live stream, that's like an unbroken connection. Like I need all that bandwidth. I'm going to use all of it. And I don't know that Starlink is at the point where it's that bandwidth is capable right now, particularly with the user base that's under it, right? So while it does download very well, the upload didn't seem to do that great. And that might be, I don't know, because of some ground type stuff that's going on, because you got to remember that, you know, how Starlink works is you're a ground station. So yeah, you can get the internet straight from the satellite, but when it comes to getting the internet or your data out, yeah, it's gonna go to a satellite, but it's still gotta get bent pipe to ground, and ground stations, whatever's going on and the latency involved with that, it might not be the best right now for live stream. So I don't know. I'm gonna say the jury is out on that one. It says Ryan says Dave Kassler has done last couple on with it. Good result, but before that, not so much. Yeah, so it's likely going to vary a little bit. Okay.
You're talking about the ground backbone, basically.
Right, because at the end of the day, it's all got to get to the internet.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, Jason has used his
I thought Elon redid
from
physics, so there was no latency.
But right. Yeah, that would be something he would say in a tweet.
Hey.
But
Yeah, but-
Jason's had dropouts on his live streams using Starlink too, so it's.
Yeah, but
I
I-
expect that. By the way, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's not what you should expect. But anyway, I'm likely going to be using this for Dayton. We're going to see if Dayton goes okay, then I'll probably keep it. Otherwise, I'm getting rid of this thing. I got some interesting plans for Dayton. Dayton's going to be interesting this year. Let me just say that.
What are you getting rid of? The hotspot or the Wii Boost?
No, the Wii Boost is great. The Wii Boost it's fine. You give it 12 volts and it's just a signal amplifier. It's always worked well when I've used it when I'm kind of like on the edge of the cell network.
Yeah. What is that thing that Jerry uses?
Yeah, what does Jerry?
Yeah. She was out at like Quartz Fest or whatever, and she and her, friend or whatever
Amy.
were doing Amy were doing a lot of. They were they did some streaming, but they were doing also a lot of work where they were connected pretty much all the time, and they were very happy with whatever their solution was. And I don't, I said, I don't remember.
I should reach out to Jerry then.
That's what I was thinking.
I think I will do that, Don. I'll find out.
Good Jerry.
Josh, I have one for you.
Well, this is the last one because I got to head out. What's up?
Nomad Internet, like no NOMAD, Nomad Internet.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't personally tried it yet, but I have heard very rave reviews from the off-grid campers that have to use high-speed internet.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be something to look into.
Is that a device or is it an actual service, like a network?
It's a device and a service. So there's, I'm looking at I have their site up. It's nomadinternet.com. It's $89 a month for the residential 4G plan, $109 for the 5G plan, and the travel plan is a little more.
Oh, so they're running off the cell networks. You still got
it's
the
all
problem
got
of
to be.
being-
Yeah.
It looks like they're just rebranding someone else's network at that point, though.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard some pretty rave reviews about it, especially out in like the super boony areas.
The problem is the speed. It's internet for most people. So, and I'm not trying to sound like bougie or anything, but like when I say like, oh, you got off-grid internet, how do you like it? They're like, oh, it's really good. I can download email and stuff. And send email? Oh yeah, I can send email too. It's like, well, that's not what I need. I need a boba straw of internet that I can push data through and it goes through. Otherwise, the streams won't work.
The same as just getting email. Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing something too that's backwards, because a lot of people will go out and they'll rave about it because they're watching television.
Right.
That's the wrong direction.
Right.
You need it the other way.
Right. The synchronous speed is what you want.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no, I don't even need asynchronous. I need more upload. Give me all the
That's
upload.
what I said. That's why I said the synchronous speed is what you want. Yeah. What you need.
Yeah, and typically they don't. I mean, all providers don't care about how fast you send data. They're more interested in providing you data on the other direction, download speed, so that you can watch movies and do all of this ridiculous stuff.
I don't
I know
that
because that's how we're
true.
doing.
Because it's sustainable though. See, that's the thing is like when I start pushing data and I'm doing it for an hour long. So what happens is it's all good in the beginning, everything's great, and then all of a sudden I start dropping out.
Right, because
Are they throttling you?
prioritizing.
They're throttling you.
Right. So I start getting throttled. And it's like, bro, don't throttle me. I'm paying you. I'm paying for the buku bucks plan. Stop doing that.
No, even unlimited is throttled.
That
there
might
is
have been
no
what happened
unlimited.
then. We might have hit the. I got to call T-Mobile and be like, "Yo, dog, what happened here?"
But yeah, one of the people that has mentioned that service, she does a lot of live streams herself and a lot of YouTube uploading. So, yeah, just my 2 cents on it.
Also, it's got to be able to fit in a backpack for me. Like, it's got to be portable. And this does not look portable. This all looks like it runs off of a off of power.
Well, I was saying, Josh, I have AT&T FirstNet.
Well, yeah, that's true. We didn't test that actually.
I know, but I have it unlimited mobile tethering, hotspot tethering.
Yeah. Oh no, you know what? We tested the first. I did get on your FirstNet. You let me tether to it, and
I did.
Yeah, and the upload speed wasn't going to work. We did test that.
No, we went to the fast.com. That's right. We checked it on there.
Yeah, and it wouldn't let me do it.
That's right.
And AT&T's unlimited is not unlimited. Nobody's unlimited. Unlimited is
nobody's
unlimited.
anymore.
Unless you're a business, you can do it if you're a business, and you give them enough money. But yeah, otherwise, because I mean, again, I'm sitting in meetings now designing the back end networks for these telecoms, and they do not plan on you doing. Only what they've allocated for you, and that's it. And then they turn it off.
Don, I understand. I know that I am a niche thing. I'm super niche. I'm pushing. If I truly had my way, I'd do 1080p. That is, in most cases, on the edge of the grid, not going to work. It's just not going to work. I know that. I know that. But hey. We'll keep pushing the boundaries until we have something that works. We'll find something.
You would think there'd be enough streamers nowadays that it wouldn't be so niche.
No,
because
all the streamers are in their they're gamers and they're all behind huge power and massive internet to be able to do it, and 2 computers, one to stream and the other to game on.
Yeah, there's people on YouTube who do lots of travel ones where they're walking around cities and things like that too. So they're doing streaming.
They're doing like 480 or 720p. So it's like they don't really need that much. And they're also in the city where there's, 5G network or whatever. I'm out in a POTA in the middle of nowhere, and I'm like, I need better signal.
True. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. All right, I got to hop off. We got the young one in here now, so I'm definitely...
Edison?
That is Edison.
All right, 7-3 Edison and Josh.
Oh, he laughed, so he heard you. All right, guys.
Okay.
Everybody on the Discord, take it easy. I'm going to hop off. See ya. Have a good evening.
Take care. 73, Josh.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I'm going to wrap up and pack up my bags for the beach tomorrow. So look for me I'll probably start out, the way I likely roll will be I'll start out on 10 meters and we'll start bumping up from there. But we'll definitely be doing some POTA. And I will be out there all day. How much radio I'm going to operate is going to vary because I'm going to have the kids out there with me and all that stuff. So
once I'm ready, can I do streams with you?
Yes, once you're ready. Once you're ready.
Once I take my test, I can do.
Once you take your test, yeah, you can do that. Yeah. Okay, everybody. Until I talk to you again, 73. See ya.
I want to take my test.
You gonna take your test?
Right now.
You're gonna take your test right now? You're going to take your test right now, even though you know nothing about ham radio. Is that what you said?
I'm gonna guess. If I get it correct, then I'll remember. If I get it wrong, then I'll write down.
You're just going to write down things?
Yes, I can get it correct.
They don't let you do that, though. They don't let you cheat when you take the test.
What do you mean? I can't write down?
No, they don't let you have a book or anything. You have to remember it.
I can't get a paper and write down the answer.
Yeah, you can have an empty paper, but the answers need to go on the answer sheet. You take the test on an iPad.
Like, write the answers down that are correct and the wrong ones, and then you do it.
But you'd have to remember the answers to write down on the piece of paper. You can't bring the piece of paper into the test. That's called cheating.
Oh.
It's not impossible. You just have to remember it. No, well, you can just... Actually, yeah, that's right. You can't just guess. That's right. And just guess? You're just going to guess. Yeah, well, nobody's ever done that before. I don't know. 73, everybody.